Hey, you guys, we are live here. This is the Logic Only Zone. Welcome to Logic Church. If you guys want to come in, write something in the chat, and I'm going to have my eye on the chat the whole time. And so if I'd like you to come into the chat, and if you want to come in, I will find a way to get you the link, or I will invite you directly from the Hangout. So, and I also need a couple of moderators today, so I will probably assign the position of moderator to a couple of people. So we're getting started here, guys. So I hope everybody's having an awesome day, you guys. Just got up a little bit ago, about an hour and a half ago, having some coffee, had something to eat, so I'm good. And so probably sit here and have a little philosophy with you guys, drink my coffee. Should be expecting a fair amount of people today, so should be a good time. I have a nice list of topics to discuss, so it should just be great. We should have a good time today. It should be just like last time. Going to be a bit more picky and choosy about the people I let into the room. Again, if you guys want into the room, type something into the chat, and then I'll know who's here. And I will hand out the link or invite people directly. So we are live, and I am watching the chat. So if you come in, just write something in the chat, and that will let me know that you'd like to come in. I'm still prepping. I'm still setting up a little bit, you guys. So thank you for being patient. It's not quite 12 yet, so. So again, to anybody who's watching, I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I have my eye on the chat, so. Spirituality and religion are different things. That's something that we could talk about. I can add it to the list if you want to hear about that. Masked Maniac Man. Masked Maniac Man. If you'd like to come in, let me know, man. Okay, so we have people liking the Hangout, so that's good. That'll help get it out there so people see it. So thank you so far for that, you guys. I know not everybody's watching. We only have one viewer right now, but people are looking at the thing. Okay, let me see here. I will invite you. Okay, I sent you an invitation. Okay, we have some people who have checked in. So a lot of people are checking in. I don't see people actually watching yet. I only see one person watching. I know people are at their computers and people are getting set up and everything. So how this is going to go, actually, you know what I'll do is I'll get this written in, okay? Okay, so I posted something on the actual announcement for the Hangout. So come to the Hangout and type into the chat. And as people come in and type into the chat, I will send invites to people who have shown up. I will also need a couple of moderators today. So if you guys don't want to come into the video, but you still want to participate, I'd love for a couple people to be a moderator. Okay. So people are still getting their stuff together, and that's fine. So we're gonna wait a little.
What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Just another day in paradise.
Okay, so we're still getting set up here. So I have 4 people watching now. If you guys would like to come in, please type something into the chat, and I will invite people as they'd like to join. Okay, there's Lisa, so we will invite Lisa.
You know what I love about conspiracy theories? It's like science fiction, but in the real world.
Yeah. There we go. There she is. Okay, Lisa has been invited. I also need a couple of moderators, so if you guys want to be moderators, let me know.
Why do people just constantly fling shit during these things?
Yeah, I'd expect a little bit of that. So, you know, because of the, you know, the contents of the video and everything. So, if anybody's like being, you know, obscene or whatever, we should just get rid of them. Because I'm a fascist.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
No, no. Okay, Shelling TV, I'll invite her. Let's see. Okay. So Shelleen has also become invited. She became invited. She has been invited. Sounds good. I'm going to make you a moderator, Zeta Society X, if that's okay with you. And you can moderate people. You can be a fascist with me.
Don't give me too much power, and don't give him too much power. You know, we like to abuse power. That's kind of things that people do.
Yeah, I don't know. It won't let me do it. I think I need people's emails to make them a moderator. Okay, so Lisa and Shalene, if you haven't received the invites, let me know, and I will find a way to get you the link to the actual thing. You can just join through the link. So if anybody else still wants to join, let me know and type that into the chat, and I will invite people as necessary. As necessary. Okay. So we're kind of getting organized, so we're going to wait about 10 minutes till we start talking. Definitely want to get at least 4 or 5 people in before we talk.
All right, I was just curious.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 7 viewers now, and if anybody else wants in, let me know. I like to be able to start these things like 30 minutes early and just have like a downtime. Oh, here's Tifa. That's who I've been looking for. Definitely want me some Tifa. Oh, I'm spelling it wrong. Let me go back and look. Lockhart. Okay. Tifa Lockhart. I was hoping this would go smoother, but sometimes it's hard to find people. Okay, so with him, I'm going to send him. So Tifa, I'm going to send you a link somewhere else. Okay, so Lisa didn't receive it either. So. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I wanted to make sure I had a couple of spaces for people that I really wanted to come in that I knew would really appreciate what we're doing here. So I wanted to leave a couple of spaces up, but I will start posting the link on things so people can just get in because this isn't going as smooth as I wanted it to. So.
Don't worry, you have all the power like a fascist. You can kick people.
Oh yeah, that's right. My mistake. Okay, so I posted the Hangout link in the announcement for the Hangout, so you guys should have access to that now. Okay, so we have 9 viewers. That's pretty good. I gotta find my chat again. Okay, so I posted the Hangout link in the announcement for the Hangout. So oh, is that you?
I am here.
Okay. There's 2 of me. They've begun replicating me. There's multiples of me out there.
It's all right.
I knew the government could clone
Logic
me.
clones.
You logic clones, that's right. They're everywhere.
It's just the invasion of the body snatchers, no worries.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about that. It'll be okay. Okay. So somebody is broadcasting me through, so I'm gonna mute you, Tifa. Oh wait, no, it's me. It's me that's doing it. It's me! Where's this coming from? I know. We have to get into this quickly. Tifa, can you unmute yourself, or did I permanently mute you?
No, I can unmute myself. I forgot I got that.
Thank God that it's good and logical.
I
gotta be careful talking about God and logic, Church. Whew. Blasphemy!
I think we can forgive you.
Oh, okay. Whew. No, we don't have to talk the whole time, but I do have some special guests that are coming today that I'm waiting for, so people who don't talk as much, I may ask you to leave just to get some of those people in. Okay, so Lisa's in. Who are we waiting for? Shalene. Let me see. So Shalene, I did post it to the Hangout thing, so you should get an alert from the announcement for the Hangout, and that will have the Hangout link on it, so that should be there. And let's see. Do you guys want to talk about what you've eaten today? No.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us what you ate. Let me see. So Shalene, I did post it to the Hangout thing, so you should get an alert.
Granola and some chicken and salsa.
Okay, so Rizzle Dizzle is coming today, and he's like, I worship Rizzle Dizzle, so he'll be here today.
Oh my.
Or he won't, you know, because he's a liar. I love that guy, though. I could listen to his crazy rants all day. Let's see.
Welcome to the chat, Lisa.
Okay, so I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat for people who want to come in. And so I guess we can start if you guys want to.
Sounds good.
So, did you guys hear that ISIS beheaded some Japanese person and Japan vows vengeance?
Yes.
We vow vengeance!
I haven't been keeping up on ISIS, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that recently, like the last, couple months.
Yeah, I just find it funny. It's like, Americans don't vow vengeance. Like some Japanese journalist guy went to, some war zone and he got captured and beheaded. A whole country's gonna vow vengeance about that? For realsies?
It's fanaticism.
Yeah, cultural fanaticism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad the U.S. kind of disarmed the Japanese military, so...
Oh yeah, so yeah, what are they gonna do? That's why they're so aggressive. They're like, we're gonna get you with our samurai swords.
Well, interesting fact, the Japanese actually used to be fanatics themselves back in the day.
Well, I don't know if that's changed too much. They're just like disarmed fanatics now.
Yeah, they seem to be fanatics in one way or another, huh?
Yeah, they sure do love themselves.
Japanese are fun people, I think.
Yeah,
no,
unless
women
you...
are too conservative.
Huh?
Yeah.
Women are too conservative.
That sounds about right. But in Japan, there's a really, really big fist pressing against anybody who thinks something compelling. So if you have any unique thoughts to yourself, or if you like thinking or anything like this, in Japan they hate you.
They have a shaming culture. You're right.
Yeah, and if you like try to talk about, like, for example, if I ask Japanese people, what do you think about God? Does God exist? You guys want to talk about this? They just freak out, and it's like, come on, you guys, chill out, just a conversation. So words really do have a power to control people and make people think and act in particular ways, and they have a type of culture that limits words, so it limits the amount that you're able to communicate with people. And their language leaves words out and tries to be as vague as possible when they speak. So
Yeah,
they try to
I don't know if you guys like know that much about Michael Jackson, but he said some very profound things. He said that once somebody starts lying enough times, like once the press or the media starts lying enough times, people start believing those lies.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. He wrote a song called Tabloid Junkie. I recommend you listen to it. It's it kind of explains a little bit about that. But yeah, basically the media chased Michael Jackson around pretty hard, and they spread a lot of slander about him in particular.
Huh. Okay, Mr. Jackal. We're getting all set up here.
I think the same thing's going on in Japan. Like their government keeps using the same lies over and over again, and the people are starting to believe it.
Oh yeah, but you know what? If you follow their history all the way back to the Tokugawa era, they haven't changed much. They've really just kept a lot of the principles of the culture at that time. So
that's why
I
value individualism so much.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like, if I don't have sovereignty over myself, then that means everybody has the right to dictate my behavior, and I'm not okay with that. You know, I'm so different. It's like this. The percentage of intelligent people in the world is far less than the non-intelligent. And so if you consider that, why should the non-intelligent be able to silence the intelligent? Isn't that against the pursuit of thought and the expansion of the human species in itself to achieve what it's destined to, if anything at all? You know, we have to be able to use our minds. You know, it can't be a crime to think. You know, you're a thought criminal.
Absolutely, thought police are gonna screw things up. Like it's limiting. It's limiting on the human condition if you do that. So.
Yeah, I agree. So hey guys, welcome to Logic Church. So we have Brent here. Hi, Brent.
Yeah,
So welcome to Logic Church.
Hey guys. Hey everybody.
Do you want to introduce yourself or something? Like, you want to say something about you or anything like that? It's cool. It's cool if you don't want to.
I'm Tifa Lockhart. I like to draw. I like to say wacky, crazy stuff.
Okay. What about Brent over there? So Brent, do you want to introduce yourself at all?
Yeah, I'm Brent Hines, also known as David K.
Oh, okay. Your voice sounds familiar. I think I know you.
I used to have an avatar with like a guy with an orange beard.
Yes.
Oh, duh.
I remember you, Brent.
That's Brent. You're that Brent. Okay, duh. Okay. And we have Joshua. Hi, Joshua. Welcome to Logic Church. And we have the masked man. So, masked man, do you want to introduce yourself at all? You know, you can leave out whatever you'd like to. Do you want to talk about like an interest or something you have? I'm interested in like the type of stuff that the people who come to my hangout like, you know.
Currently, I'm a vegan. That's about the major like standpoint where I sit. It's more of a dietary reasons than ethical, though.
Okay. Well, are you interested in like sharing that with us about your dietary reasons for that?
Saturated fats and animal proteins have been linked to cancer, and then degradation of bones, higher rates of osteoporosis, higher rates of type 2 diabetes, which we thought was originally linked to sugar intake, but as it turns out, fat and sugar, when they're put together, your body isn't able to use the sugar as efficiently.
Interesting. So how does that work? Is it does it matter if it's combined? Does it matter if you have a lot of fat in your body already, or are you just talking about like when you ingest it?
When you're ingesting it.
Okay.
Because you can be a really fat person who's sitting on the edge, but you can cut fat out of your diet while increasing, like, say, your sugar and protein intake, while lowering the amount of fat that you take in your body. Because what your body does is, you know, when you eat a fatty meal, your blood gets thicker, right?
I guess so.
Alright, have you ever been to the doctor and they said that you need to fast before you come in the next day?
No. Well, for surgery, right?
Yes. They do that because they used to have people that would have eggs and bacon and some kind of like fatty meal before they came in. And it would make their blood thicker, and sometimes they threw up during anesthesia. But the main point was that they do blood draws in the morning before your actual surgery starts or begins. And they don't want your blood to be thick with fat so that they can't detect certain anomalies easier. So it's just a thing. Anyways, that's
Interesting.
just separating from the main point. What I was trying to get at was when your blood gets thicker from eating a fatty meal, your body raises the amount of insulin that's released. So your body builds insulin resistance because of the fat you eat.
Mast is the blood. Is it because of triglycerides in the blood that makes it thicker?
It's not necessarily just triglycerides. It's mainly saturated fats. So if you're eating unsaturated fats, it's less of a problem, but it's still there. Because
Okay.
it's just as unhealthy to drink a pint of olive oil as it is to eat a spoonful of Crisco.
Right. It's quantities too.
I don't understand. So, are you suggesting that it's unhealthy to eat fat in your diet?
Large amounts of fat.
Okay. 'Cause I didn't think fat was a problem.
Animal fats also, no?
Yeah, guys, I don't know enough about that kind of stuff to say whether what you guys are saying is true or not. But I think it's interesting to talk about, and I mean, it's good that we have it recorded, so like we can review it. I can go back and look at that, and then try to look at the science or something, see if I can like look at that, because I think if we have a bad diet, we don't want to continue that diet, right? And so everybody's just trying to look for a good diet and all of that. So I think it's really important to talk about this stuff.
The thing is I understand processed sugars are like super bad if you have too much of it. Like I think you need some kind of a balance.
Well, I'm currently on an 80-10-10 diet, so what can I say?
80-10-10?
80% carbohydrates, 10% protein, 10% fats.
What about vegetables?
Okay.
The vegetables are pretty much considered carbohydrates, so
Yeah,
is
masts
that,
are like
just sort of like
complex.
telling you the quantities of the food I'm taking in.
oh, but okay, but you know that vitamins really matter, right? Of course, right?
I already
Yeah.
have a supplement for that.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I take multivitamins every day, and before I took multivitamins, I felt like shit all the time. And I had a serious vitamin deficiency, and my bladder, like when I would use the bathroom, my bladder was like really small, and I have to use the bathroom really frequently. But ever since I've been taking multivitamins, my bladder functions better, and my body's just way better. So like everybody who doesn't take multivitamins, I highly encourage you guys to at least give it a shot. You can get them off Amazon, you know.
Also, if you want to do a little bit of research on the type 2 diabetes problem, you have to look at Western versus Eastern cultures, because in places like Japan and Thailand, Korea, and the Philippines versus America, the Netherlands, Europe, like most European countries, you'll see instances of diabetes being higher in the Western culture. So it's not completely related to sugar for type 2 diabetes.
Cool.
Okay. I was
Okay.
just I was actually curious. What do you what's your typical diet in a day?
I can start off in the morning with about 6 bananas, maybe 1 or 2 cups of rice, and then in the afternoon it'll probably be another 5 or 6 cups of rice, because whenever I eat until I'm full, and then I'll throw in some dates, maybe
Oh, it's
1 or 2
Carpo. It's
handfuls of
Carpo.
grapes.
I didn't know. I was like, who's Joshua? sorry to interrupt you guys. I just got really excited to see Carpo.
And then in the evening I'll probably have some kind of usually rice and some kind of like a ragu sauce or something.
Mask, have you read the China study as well?
Yes, by Dr. Campbell or something. But
Yeah,
yes, I have.
exactly. Yeah, it's very good. It really shows you how animal products can lead to some of these diseases, cause inflammation like you're suggesting.
I find that interesting. You're using a lot of rice things. What type of rice?
I have brown rice, black rice, and white rice. White rice in the morning because I need a quick sugar in order to start my day. In the afternoon I'll have brown rice, and then for evening, black rice for iron intake.
Okay, you guys. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break. I'm gonna get myself another coffee, and I'll be set and ready to go. You guys, is that okay with everyone? So,
Sure.
in the meantime,
Coffee.
will you guys talk about individual sovereignty? Something I talk about all the time. Like, I think individuals deserve the right to own themselves. And so, what do you guys think about that?
Logic zone.
What?
I said I want property rights on Logic Zone.
Oh, property rights.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. So 2 minutes, you guys. Share. You guys are welcome to share anything you want if you guys want to promote your channels or whatever. Okay.
Sure.
But my channel sucks.
No, I'm sure it's fine, dude.
No, it sucks. I haven't been uploading anything for months, so.
Sure, my channel in a sec. I was playing playing one of my favorite games right now. I'll share screen if you guys want. I don't know if it's gonna hijack the chat.
Probably is, because Google Plus broken as fuck.
All right, just let me know if it's a problem.
And probably isn't. I'm probably gonna get on PlanetSide.
If it's a problem, I'll switch it.
Wait, what game is this?
It's a UN Squadron.
Oh.
Playing this yesterday too.
Right.
It's an old game, something I used to play like when I was younger.
Yeah. I used to play variations of something like that, except that game uses money, I could see at the top, and level progression.
Yeah, the level progression is like you get power-ups and stuff.
Yeah, because other games like that usually involve like you get power-ups, and that's it.
Okay, guys, I'm back.
Hey, Logic, welcome back.
Okay.
Logic coffee.
Welcome back.
Okay, so so I kind of want to jump into it. So like, I know Lisa classically prefers emotion to logic, but she's been thinking about using logic more. And conversations that I have with Carpo are about the value of feelings versus logic, and when does feelings end and logic start, or logic start and feelings end, and what is the value of these things and how do we understand them? So I want to like kind of offer my hypothesis, and then you guys can either talk about that or you can tell me what your hypothesis is on this stuff. And I think that feelings are for motivation, and then the logic is like a guide. And so we channel our feelings with our logic to understand who we are, what's around us, and how we want to motivate ourselves. So like I want to chime in on Carpo and see what Carpo thinks about that. And then maybe like Lisa and some of you other guys.
Is Carpo here now?
Oh, we can't hear Carpo.
Well,
No!
Logic, I can tell you what I think right now. Basically, I think you can specialize. Like I don't know if like obviously yeah you would want to use logic sometimes because just because you'd worldly need that just to function correctly in different aspects. But I think it's okay to be like strong in one area and weaker in another area. Because you can still have a lot to offer, even with that polarization.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Does anybody else want to talk about that? I don't know if Lisa's here. Lisa might both be here. But she at least has some strong opinions on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just kind of listening in, trying to navigate through this a little bit. This is my third hangout today, so bear with me. But I want to hear just some other people's views on it first before I talk a little bit about mine, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I believe logic begins where emotions end. That's just sort of the way that's always been for me. Because when I was doing something, it's a lot harder to concentrate when you're focusing on how pissed off you are. If you just look at it in a cold, unfeeling way, it's much easier to get shit done. So, that's how I stand.
I think it depends on what you're doing, though. Like, for example, Michael Jackson, he was a dancer, songwriter, and I believe he was mostly right brain focused. Or specialized right brain.
Yeah, I can add something here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, it basically depends on like your right brain and left brain. They have their purposes, I suppose, right? So
Right.
if you're creating art, I suppose you need to feel more, and if you're using your logic side, it depends on the situation really. So I suppose you need to go to a therapist, and I say go to a therapist a lot because I'm actually part of the mental health community. So you just need to go to like a therapist and like get a channel like what you want to do. Like my favorite tool is hypnotherapy. So I would just like probably hypnotize myself and like say, okay, I want to do this right now, and therefore I'm just programming my mind, and I should be all right in it. And so it's just the manner of your mind. Your mind controls most things really. So it depends, but you need to be smart, and yeah, that's about it really.
Okay, and I think you raise a really good point with the left brain versus the right brain. Like, really, like this may just be a thing of the brain. I'm a bit of a romantic, so I like to actualize my highest expectations of the world. So, like, if I think about society, I think, well, why can't it just be awesome, right? And so part of me and part of my brain wants to actualize that. And so have you ever heard of something called romantic versus classical? So some people are more romantic and some are more classical thinking.
So it's quite simple really. The world is actually, according to me, it's quite unfair. Things don't work out how we plan it, like how we can like really do it. So and money kind of dictates most issues. So it's just it's just a matter of time. Like you just need to like use your brains and like just get the hang of things. Like get like the inner circle or something, and then you got the edge over things. So in certain cases, right, I think somebody was mentioning when they feel too much they can't really function. So I mean, for those issues, they're like mood stabilizers, like antidepressants sometimes when the depression is too hard. But then they again affect your thinking. Thinking goes down and everything. But then you need to make certain compromises depending on what can suit you best. Like some people, they kind of they may be like hardcore romantics, but then the world wouldn't agree with them.
Right.
So what's the point in like being the best at something or having such amazing things like for instance, the guy who chopped off his ears, I mentioned it with Stefan the last time.
Mhm.
What's the guy who
Van
Vincent
Gogh.
Van Gogh. Yeah, Van Gogh. So so it's not right to be ostracized, and
Right.
so in order to save yourself from persecution, if he was on mood stabilizers or something, as rumor has it, he was bipolar, so he would have done a lot better, basically.
Well, I
So
understand, Hugh. I can agree with what you're saying only as far as it's not good to get yourself ostracized, like in the public, like. But I would say absolutely be different around people who are understanding of what you're doing.
yeah,
Right.
I say this often. In fact, I started this chat off, which didn't do too well, but it was called Circle of Trust. Basically, I started a couple of groups as well, and basically what it says is you need to first kind of judge people, like if they're going to like accept who you are or not. And actually, if you really think about it, you can actually see what the person is like inside, and because you kind of know what people are, and then once you're there, once you like foreseen what's going to happen, then you can like kind of trust them, So again, you need to like just think, plan things, and then once you can actually trust somebody, then you can like include them into your circle of trust. Sometimes it's even difficult to include your own family members into a circle of trust, but then you just got to so you got to like cut them out of the circle of trust, be strict with certain rules. Again, at times you need to forget certain things, you need to insult certain people, you need to play the game really well, like pick up and then like forget about women, get more women. It's kind of like the same game over there, but so that's very important. You just get with the program really, and then I think things should be all right.
I wanted to ask a question to Logic about concerning the left and the right brain. Do you know how much validity there is to which hand you write with and which brain hemisphere you use the most? I'm really curious. I was speaking with Tifa about this the other day, actually.
So are you guys talking to me?
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yes, Andrew. This is your hangout, Andrew.
Yeah. I'll reiterate if you want.
Sorry, I was dealing with some drama in the chat.
Oh, no problem. What else is new?
I can tell you with my experiment that it is working, and I am feeling different.
Okay.
Huh.
Well, here's
But
the
I
thing,
might
you guys.
be fooling myself subconsciously. I don't know.
So part of my problem is I've always wanted to be a musician. And so, I would watch live concerts of like AC/DC and stuff like that, and I'd be like, oh man, I want to do that too. That looks fun. But that's the romantic part of my brain that wants to do that, and that is not something that is feasibly actualizable. I'm probably not going to become a famous musician. I'm probably not going to be able to do a concert like AC/DC. And so that's something that I have to accept, but because I have this romantic part of my brain, those ideas are always going to be compelling to me. I'm always going to want to do something awesome like that, but I also have to balance that and be logical about it and know, like, okay, well, this is unobtainable, so I can't have that, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't have. They don't realize that they have to balance their, fantasy or whatever, right?
Yeah, so
Does that make
can I
sense?
add something here?
That's me, Logic. I'm an unreasonable person. I pursue my fantasy.
So
Yeah.
So actually, I just want to say something here. So like this might help you actually. So I've noticed like I don't know much about like pickup strategies or something, but I was just reading something to the thing of to the extent of like going like this, just getting out there in the field, like asking like a million girls out, and like it said that about 80% might even reject you, So it's something like what you've just done, but you need to be cool with it, and that's what's important. So sometimes what I do to actually be cool with certain things is I insult the shit out of it. So, for instance, I've fallen in love with music. I've fallen in love with AC/DC. I love the way they look. I love the way they just do things. But then
Yeah.
right now, it's like a huge distraction, right? So
Right.
basically, so what I would do is actually I've got a degree in psychology. Uh, I know people, some of them like know that and like they're sick of me saying that. But then,
No,
so
no,
what
it's
I would
good.
just do. Alright, cool. So what I would just do is basically in this case, I would use like positive affirmations. Like say, for instance, I need to do a lot of maths right now. I would just say like I'm the best mathematician in the world. Believe in that. Just get into it, and just feel that way completely. And
Right.
secondly, is if I'm like really addicted to this, I would probably hypnotize myself and feel like puking every time I watch AC/DC. I would just just get revolted by that stuff. So
Yeah, you
there are
gotta
different
take
techniques.
control. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to take control, and then you've got to like I keep saying it's like all a power play really. So it's like certain things you can like control, and then and certain things control you. So in order to like control certain things, I think you need to like put it below you. You need to basically walk over it, and in order to walk over it, you need to insult it, and at least in the mind. So as long, I mean, so that it doesn't really get to you. Sometimes women, sometimes if they're really pretty as well, they just like get to me, and I lose all control. So I just like changed my impression about them, and then like once I've changed my impression about the way they look, I can actually like just go straight into who they are, and I can like probably see if this person would actually benefit me, and if if,
Right.
if they would benefit me, I would like take things slow and like or play some games, and if it doesn't, then I would just have to keep my distance. So I would program my mind into just hating the shit out of the person, forgetting about her, and then like using some other strategies to find better women, I suppose.
Well, yeah, and you're right. Like, I've only been really serious with one girl in my life, and like, if I like need motivation, she would be the girl that I think of because she was kind of like my perfect girl, and so because of that, it kind of demotivates me to some degree to go out and find a better girl if that is something that I wanted to pursue, because it's like, oh, okay, well, I already had like the girl of my dreams, so. You know what I mean? So I mean that's kind of like that too. It's like totally unobtainable, but I just kind of have to reject those things and like leave that alone and move on to like better things.
Yeah, there was something I was recently discussing in one of my groups, which was codependency. Sometimes you just get addicted to like one person, and that person just feeds on who you are, and you become like deeper with the attachment and everything. But then it's very essential that you stay independent. And I was discussing this with my cousin sister, and she's like one of my best friends, and she was mentioning to me that you need to basically love yourself first, and then you can like love other people better, or like you basically need to be an individual first and then be a team. You
Right.
need to be okay. Yeah, you need to believe in yourself, and you need to give yourself enough of nutrition first before you actually start sharing. um, or you need to basically just work on yourself, and therefore you will be you know an entity, and you can actually dominate certain other fields, I suppose. You need to charge your battery so you can help your team better. So
Yeah.
you can like get the whole robot working. If you're part of a robot, and you're just part of, you're the leg, for instance, you need to get your leg fixed or get
Right.
enough juice into your system. It's about
That's why
it.
I'm doing this. Like, I really love doing this, guys. I love coming on here and just talking about ideas and hearing what you guys think about them, and just being free. I love being free, and I want my mind to be free. And this is just something that I really love. And I might even say that I like this more than I think I'd like being AC/DC. So it's kind of my new thing.
What I find helped me a lot when I was trying to get over a relationship is just having sex with somebody else. But I think certainly like using something to reduce the old memories can help. But as one person was saying, like you reduce it with something that's like less desirable. You could also increase it, which is I think what Logic was saying as well. And I think having sex with another person would reduce what that previous relationship was. I think I also burned all of the possessions I had of her, and that seemed to help as well to reduce the attachment.
Like they say, out of sight, out of mind, right?
Right.
So it's just about that.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that works actually. I do it all the time.
I don't know, I've never really been good at building emotional attachments to things, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. You're in alien territory to me.
Yeah.
Usually emotional attachment to me is when I have something that reminds me of a person, I don't think of the bad memories, I only think of the good memories, and that's it.
Oh, yeah, there's some more to it than that. I think also it helps if you have the ability to forgive the person, even if they did something morbidly wrong to you. Because if you forgive something, then you're not going to be how should I say it? You're not going to be devoting a lot of energy into keeping that memory around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said the story before, but then like Nelson Mandela, basically he was, or if you're in a jail, for instance, and somebody is like constantly troubling you, even however lowly you disrespect them or however lowly you regard them, and you can like forget about it, but then in the end they would still have a certain power over you because you see them every day, and in the end it's important that you learn to forgive them as well. Nelson Mandela did that with his card, and that was key, and I use it like a lot. Recently I had this fight, and I couldn't move forward in this relationship, and I kind of like just put them really low, and put this person really low, and then initially I had to forgive this person so that I could like get back and like just move on and like find peace in my conscience as well. At least that's very important. Forgiveness. Totally agree.
Yeah. Good comments. Good stuff.
I don't know, it's more of a risk-benefit analysis for me. Have they been doing more bad things for me or more good things? Because some people go back to abusive relationships, battered wife syndrome, that kind of thing. So I don't think it's just being able to forgive someone, it's being able to forgive someone for the right reasons.
Yes, you can forgive somebody, but then you should like not forget about it, So like they say, you forgive them, but don't forget about it. Just keep them in mind. Make sure you keep your distance. Use a law, probably establish a court order or something, and then just that about do it, I suppose.
Well, I'm living a monk lifestyle, so I don't play around with that.
I'm gonna drop my
So you're a monk? So you're into the monk lifestyle? What's that about?
No, that just means I'm not
Okay.
having sex and I'm staying away from women right now. That's about it. That does not mean that I'm just forsaking the rest of society and becoming a Buddhist up in the mountains. No, that's not what it's about.
So you're like a retrieve of sorts. Retrieve.
Yes, one of those great abandoners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what though? I mean, you could do that, but
Yeah.
you have to decide how valuable your own life is, and if
Yeah.
it's worth
And,
trying to put your
isolation-
life out there to do something.
Yeah,
or not.
and if you've got a bit of depression, then isolation can make it worse.
Yeah, this is true.
If you're like this, yeah, so you need to make sure you're having enough social contact in your life as well.
Very
That's very
true.
important.
I actually prefer isolation. It's when I feel most at peace.
Yeah, usually I'm just, the only people I have contact during the summer is just my family, and sometimes they're annoying, so I ignore them most of the time. And then once I meet new people, I'm just like, I don't know how to talk to them. I'm scared. Or even seeing old friends. It's just like I isolate myself for an entire summer.
You know why though? Did something happen to you when you were a kid? Were you attacked by people?
Oh,
that you
yeah,
didn't know?
a lot. And then I got into fights after that type of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why. So when you see people, you just assume they're a threat right away.
Yeah.
Jackal, so is it kind of social anxiety to an extent?
Yeah. and my dad's side of the family is a bit bipolar. So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, basically, I would suggest that you need to. I would just suggest medication and therapy if you're up for listening to it, because that'll like
Yeah.
probably like control certain feelings and
Yeah.
calm you down. And therapy would actually just get you out of that mental block that your family is bad, because sometimes in times of dire need, like my family's like really helped me even though I've like really hated them earlier, and therapy's just got me through like accepting my family again even though I hated it and I left home and everything. So I mean it's fine if you don't want to listen to it, but then
Did,
yeah, it's just
did
out
your
there
parents,
for you.
Hugh, did your parents abuse you?
Oh, it's just a lot of crazy
He
stuff
asked me
happens. Like
uh,
my mom got cancer a year ago, and she's perfectly fine now. She had like the perfect situation, but it was like now there's like a lot of money you have to pay off because of the treatment, and it's just like now it's just like, oh, okay, we're just living paycheck by paycheck, and yeah, and it's everything's okay. I've learned like this like I've learned to control like a lot of the emotions I kind of feel that make me a bit depressed. Like if I start feeling depressed, it's like, oh, think about this happy thing, and it's just like I'm back to normal. And that's why I kind of like these Google Hangouts. Is like you get to talk to people, and it helps a lot.
Right. Oh, Hugh, you too. Like, could you tell us, were you abused by your parents? So you left home and then you decided to come back. How
Because
did you? Go ahead.
because it was like, yeah, sometimes I'll leave, but it's like then I remember all the nice things they do, and it's like, okay, I'm just being a little asshole right now. Just okay, calm down. Just I think it's like something common with a lot of people nowadays. Is like when they're kids, they're just like they think, oh, there's something wrong with everybody, but then it's like, no, there's just I'm just being a little asshole right now. Just calm down, go back. See what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't talk about like the mental health stuff, so that's why I like the internet for that. That's what I do, just to mention my channel's mental health. So I talk about depression, social anxiety, things that people are kind of scared to confront. And I do hangouts like Andrew does too, to kind of get people together and not feel so alone. So it makes a big difference doing that together.
Yeah, I totally agree, you guys. So, I mean, so it's great. It's great, definitely having different people, and we have to check ourselves, because a month ago, I would say that I had maybe an idea or two that I was floating around that this month I don't care about anymore. I'm always changing, and that's because I put myself in a situation where I talk to many different types of people. So I'm always modifying my perception of reality, and I think it's healthy.
I think it is to a certain extent, but I think people can get carried away with that.
No, it's definitely good, because the more you're exposed to, the more your body takes in a lot, because even in like studies, you see like people who come from really rich, clean areas, and then they like move to like a slum or something, then they can't take that. Their resistance basically comes down. So it's basically that the more you experience, basically you know how to handle certain situations. So that experience counts for a lot of things. In fact, a lot of people in the mental health, what they do is they just like they just stop for a while, and then like they can't take too much of stress. But then I would say you should just quickly get onto therapy, or like struggle and try and push yourself into therapy, and then like just get out there again and like face a situation head on. So that because too much of isolation and like when you just stop, you're just making you're just showing the world you're more paranoid. You're showing yourself you're more paranoid. You'll get used to the laziness, and none of that's really good. Laziness is a thing I've noticed a lot in the mental health community, which is something that needs to be worked on as well. You guys agree?
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Hugh, do you mean exposure therapy as well?
Yeah. It's like exposure, I suppose.
Oh man. Okay, you guys. So I wanna talk to Carpo about something else. Is it okay if we change topics?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Can you say something, Carpo, just to make sure you're coming
Yeah,
in?
can you hear my microphone and everything?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I hear you just fine.
Okay. Hardware issues.
Hey, so so what were we talking about? So we were talking about something in the comments section. So you have a deeper thought about the value of emotions.
Deeper than what?
like what I mean is like you seem to think like there may be something else beyond just the sensation of them.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you know, it's a lot of people would like to believe that emotions are some divine source, that they're helping to direct us in some particular, you know, way to operate, maybe in a certain way that benefits us or whatnot. Some people would say that. Just a second. Some people would say that emotions are nothing more than nature's way of, well, as you said, it's kind of our way of, difficult to word, but that it's kind of a preserving type of thing. Like, you know, obviously fear, if you want to call that an emotion, it depends on, I guess, what you consider an emotion. But let's say love and affection, which moves society forward, right? Because you're procreating, you are, I guess I really don't have any way to know either way, but the let's say it depends on what you consider an emotion. Is intuition an emotion, or is it just a feeling? And what dictates an emotion to you? I mean, what is intuition? It's one of the ones that always gets me. You know, you take a different route and you end up avoiding an accident. You think, oh, if I'd gone that way, is there something dictating this that's beyond it? But it seems that it's impossible to determine whether emotions really come from any source other than our own minds. I mean,
right.
I'd like to believe that there's a larger picture to everything, that there's some sort of a maybe a collective source. I wouldn't call it a god so much as maybe just the whole collective unit of humanity, as in we know what's good, we know what's bad. You get a feeling if you do something you know you shouldn't have done. Why do we have that?
Oh, like a sense of danger?
Not a sense of danger, a sense of guilt. Why do we have a sense of guilt? It's one of those things that drives me nuts. Obviously, if you do something that's harmful to you or your immediate environment, that's one thing, you know, and to people you love. But if you do something that you feel guilty about, it doesn't seem to be anything to harm you.
I think we innately know that we need other people in order to survive.
But I guess
something bad to other people, I think we just innately know that that's going to harm us in the long run.
Is that something that's genetic?
Maybe. Yeah, that's the thing. What is the purpose?
Survival. I think it's survival.
I mean,
like,
survival.
Right, let me explain something. Like, let me give you a scenario where this would apply. All right, so I guess like the 1300s or something like that, people were very ruthless to each other, and if you were to do something bad to, let's say, somebody who had some form of influence, and they were a friend of yours, and you did something bad to them, then you'd feel guilty for that because that person is directly linked to your survival. Like, they may be able to bail you out of a situation where somebody might try to kill you. So that they can gain power, or they can gain influence, or they can just take, you know, the gold you have in your pocket, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So I believe it's linked to survival.
What about guilt on a smaller scale? Something that's, say, not harming anyone, not another person. I guess I'd have to think of a better example.
I think it's the same thing, only maybe your sanity is at risk. So it's like a safeguard to prevent you from deteriorating all your relationships.
Sure. So what you're saying is long term, in the big picture, everything is for survival.
Well, I mean,
okay, can I chime in?
I think your emotions actually prevent you from putting yourself in danger very often.
Okay, can I chime in though?
Sure.
I think it's very possible there's a duality, like it's one part survival, one part something else. So I just think this is such an interesting conversation because it seems like a mystery. It seems like there's evidence for it to be survival, but there is also evidence that it's a little weird because because the experience of feeling guilty and how it affects you is really odd. And it's kind of hard to understand, especially from just a first-person perspective. And I think that's what Carpo's saying. And I think that that's a compelling idea.
Well, it is, and there's another issue. You know, it's like when we do something that we know is wrong, that's harmful to society or to our environment. Of course, that's obviously going to impact us, regardless of where it comes from. We know it's because survival. Obviously, if you do something to harm another, you're harming yourself. But I start thinking about things like altruism, where we help others, and obviously there's this old philosophy about whether we really do anything for other people or if everything is done for preservation. If we go out and we help someone, we do it because they say, well, I just did that because I feel good about it. You give $5 to the guy on the corner, that's homeless, and you feel good about it. You say, well, I just gave it to him. I don't expect anything in return, but you feel good about it, and that good feeling in itself is the reward.
Yeah.
And so I think people become kind of addicted to altruism in a way, but when I start thinking about why the animals do it, why do animals raise other animals? Now, here's one that really gets me. When you talk about an animal, let's say a monkey, let's say a chimpanzee, the mother dies, and another chimp raises the baby. Now, that would be understandable within the society because you're preserving the genetics of the line, of the group.
Right.
So I was always curious about why animals would raise another species of animal, completely unlike their own.
I think it's the same thing. I think it's also kinship, altruism, and they believe it to be their own. They think they're preserving their genes. It's that imprinting.
Well, no. There are other animals who actually, they've found now that animals have knowingly raised other animals that are of a different species, and they're completely aware that it's not one of their own. Yet they're raising, whether it be a monkey with a cat or whatnot, and one could say it's preserving the whole, if you want to call it the Gaia, the Earth or whatnot. But really, there's got to be something there, something that.
Yeah,
it's difficult to express.
Maternal instinct.
It's true. It's true that animals of different types have been known to friend each other in some situations. So that's kind of weird, and there's something interesting there to be, something to be said about that.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing to express without sounding all floaty, because you get out there and you're like, oh, it's Gaia, it's this essence, it's this universal mind, and it's like you can't pin it down to what exactly it is, it's kind of, like you said, a little bit of duality, a little bit of everything. It's not black and white.
Yeah, and I've taken psychedelics before, so I've had some interesting transcendent experiences. And I would say definitely, I don't think it's all survival. I think survival has a lot to do with it, but I don't think it has all to do with it. And,
well, no, survival for what? That's the question. Survival for what?
And that's another
to move forward as a society, and then here we are at this point, and you have to ask yourself, the big question for me is, why do we have consciousness at all? Why did it develop? And if everything, let's say, was just random mutation, what the hell benefit would nature have to create a conscious being that is so fucking busy trying to, pardon my language, but trying to figure out his own existence that he's not even doing anything? You know what I mean? It's like
totally.
Humans have gotten to the point where we think too much, and therefore it's actually hindering what you might call growth. But people say, well, look around at what we have, and you say, well, but what is that leading to? What do we want? Society as a whole has never even asked ourselves what we want.
That's kind of like a first world problem thing to me, because we didn't have enough time to think about anything while we were surviving in like the Ice Age and like hunting down mammoths, so we didn't have time to think. And now that we have all our technological advances, we have some time to sit down and think, and it turns out we don't know what the fuck we want what to do with ourselves anymore.
Exactly. That's, you ask people and they say, well, look at all these great advancements we've made, and I say, so we can live a little bit longer? That's great. But what are we going for? You know, what's the big picture? And why did nature want to create a society that had an intellect which could destroy nature itself? I mean, if nature was, let's say, aware of itself, but if it was random,
you want to know the plan behind nature then?
Well, I don't think we can know the plan behind nature. No, I just think that there's something larger we can't understand.
Yeah, that's just something I came up with then.
You know, I don't know. There's something to it, and everybody wants to pin it down. Everybody wants to put it in a box. Everybody wants to put it in a book and write a label on it, make it all convenient, tidy, and it's just not that way. You know, with all the philosophers and great thinkers through history who have spent, you know, their entire lifetimes working on, say, one philosophy or idea, and then somebody will step into the ring today and say, oh, I got that figured out. I'm only 20, but I got it figured out. And you're like, okay. So, you know, we can piece together all the lives of all the great thinkers of history and still not figure out what the hell we're doing or what we want. Because even, you know, and it's kind of discouraging almost, you know, to think that even in the time when people had more time to think, you know, I guess today we have a lot more time to think because we have less work, but there's more distractions. So we don't really know where we're going with it. So I think each individual has to figure out, instead of trying to prove whether nature is created by God or whether nature's, you know, just by chance, it becomes irrelevant in the big picture, because as an individual, you just have to figure out what you want from life.
Right.
Because
no, I think I've come up with some kind of a solution. It's not like a means to an end, but it is a means unto itself. And that's why I like creating different stuff for myself. Does that make sense? Like, I like drawing stuff. I like thinking of figuring things out.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
I've got tons of art projects and drawings I've done that I've never shown anybody, just because I like to do it. You know?
Is it like perfectly acceptable to just have like something that's not a means to an end, but something that's the means unto itself?
Absolutely. That's what life, I think, is about. I don't think it's, you know, I think that, like, society as a whole, maybe, I guess it's that we claim that we're working towards something, but we don't know what it is. But as the individual, sure, because everything is the end is the end. Regardless of whether we die and go to heaven or die and die, in this life, we have to make the most of it and do it.
I feel like society does a lot of the same thing. They're a means unto themselves.
And they want to tell you that,
personal
you know,
reasons.
What do you think about things being unhealthy as far as, like, thoughts? I've had this discussion with so many people about whether believing delusional thoughts, let's say, like such as a particular religion or a particular New Age belief, is that delusion harmful to the individual? Is it harmful to society, rather? Because I've had people say, well, as long as people are believing delusional things, society is going to continue to be, you know, in the gutter or whatnot.
Well,
and I say, well, it's always going to be that way. It's always been that way. And
my question is, do you subscribe to certain theories? Because if you do, then you would recognize that there's been some experiments done that certain people will do prayers like 20,000 miles away, and it will affect
the
like
intention
water,
experiment. Yeah.
The water.
It's actually
Dr.
Emoto did that. Dr. Emoto did some of the first experiments with water, where they would actually pray over the water. They would give good intentions to one jug and bad intentions to another, and it would freeze them and find that the ones that the crystal structure depended upon the intention of the people. And they've done these repeated experiments over and over. So there's these little bits and pieces of that there's something to it.
Whoa.
But trying to prove it is a different story.
That's not been proved at all. They tried to replicate that experiment multiple times. They want Emoto to even try to show like normal science how it's done, and they can't. So,
well, have you seen the plant experiments?
The what experiment?
Where they do the same thing, where they play, you know, where they will talk to plants and they'll put them in controlled environments, and people try to give good intentions to one. I'm a grower, so I've given, you know, specific plants. You know, I believe that if I talk to my plants, they respond. Now that may be a complete delusion on my part, but it's something I believe. So
You know what? I agree with you.
I think it's okay to have experiments like that, because then how else are you going to learn, right?
What about cymatics? Are you familiar with cymatics? With the frequency of water at certain frequencies and how it creates a pattern?
I've heard about that.
That's
I
mainly
actually
when the
do.
water's
I've done
flowing, though. It'll make like sign patterns and such. You'll actually be able to see the frequency interacting with the waves.
Yeah,
There's, like,
exactly.
the
I have
energy.
the experiment. I have a base set up where I set up a bowl of water, and I have iron filings and sand where I'll actually set up. It's like a 12-inch stud. I have built this whole unit for it, so I could do my own experiments because I kept hearing about it, and I'm like, if I want to know the truth, I'm gonna have to do it myself. And so I got out there and I started playing with it, and sure enough, certain frequencies have a certain effect on the patterns, and so it led me to believe that since everything is based on structure, that frequencies are constantly interacting with us, with our environment, on the atomic structure, on the macro and micro. And it comes to the like people start throwing in words like solfeggio and talking about particular tones. It comes down to what does the frequency do to the matter itself, and you ask yourself on a smaller scale, could that have something to do with intention? In other words, when a person is praying for someone miles away, like you said, I've seen those replicated over and over where you can't prove it because there's no real evidence to know. There's too many factors involved. As I say, you're praying over someone to heal, and they heal. You can't prove that was you. And
right,
it comes down to the belief of the individual, because I think that the belief of the individual on whether it's going to work is just as important, if not more so, than the person who's trying to actually heal.
There's some evidence that here's the thing. You asked a question. If delusional thoughts or whatnot, quote unquote delusional thoughts, like somebody could call you crazy for saying everything that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that anything that you put into practice there is incorrect. For example, like if you studied like subatomic particles, string theory, all that, the way physics behaves in that environment, and when you look at the very small, it's almost like it breaks rules and things like that.
Quantum physics is completely separate. It's a totally different, because quantum mechanics breaks things down to where they react differently to intention.
Right, and I'm just using that as an example, but
sure.
The behavior there is different, and that also leads you to believe that obviously we don't understand everything about nature. So we don't inherently understand everything about nature. So perhaps thinking about something in a different way, even though people could call you delusional, even though people could say, hey, you don't have all the right evidence for that, the evidence that we want, because you could find evidence, but it may not actually be acceptable evidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these aren't replicatable, and a lot of experiments have been done that are very convincing that just haven't been replicated or can't be, and because there's so many factors involved. I mean, if you've heard of the idea of the double slit experiment, where does light behave as a wave or a particle, and there's a lot of talk about that.
Behaves as both.
Yeah, it behaves as both, depending on how you want it to view it and how it's interpreted. They find when they have their devices aimed at it, it behaved like a wave, and when they weren't observing it, it was a particle, or vice versa. I can't remember, but when
they were observing it, it was a particle, but when they were when they weren't looking at it, it was a wave.
Yeah, and it blows them away. If you listen to some of these quantum physicists talk about it, they're just laughing at themselves because they know they're in a realm they can never express, and they'll keep it totally separate from standard science because we're in a realm we can't understand. It's too small. Now, think about that on the macro scale.
Okay, I think it's arrogant. I think it's arrogant for anybody to say that they know everything, or that they understand.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think it's arrogant for everyone to say that humans as a whole know everything.
I think you could say that you're pretty good at reasoning through things, and then therefore, if you think about the success of the things that you're saying, maybe you have a really high percentage of success in reasoning through things. I think that's something you could say, but I mean, nobody knows everything. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well,
people behave that way because they're like, oh, well, what you're saying doesn't follow the current known physics, so therefore you don't have any evidence. Therefore, what you're saying is delusional. Therefore, what you're saying I cannot accept because it's outside my known realm. I find that to be a problem, and I find that to be a limiter.
That's dogmatic science.
Hmm.
Falsifiability is pretty important when you're doing science, though. If you can't do something
It's
over
true.
and over again,
It's
people
true.
would be dying from medication.
Oh yeah, I
certain
agree.
types of medications. And then we'd have, like, snake oil being sold to people. So being able to reproduce results is very important to us. That's how we understand the world around us.
I understand reliability. I understand that's valuable. I'm just saying that we should not dismiss something just because we have this feeling that it has a lack of evidence, even though the evidence may be there. We just don't fully recognize it as such.
There might be 10 facets to a subject that resonate, that say it's true, but one thing doesn't coincide or relate to something that was written prior, or it doesn't. It's a different paradigm from something that, look at how long we were held back from science because we were, certain scientific ideas, because we were so convinced that the ones we'd already written were right. It's like we're afraid to move out of the box. And so I think for the individual, it comes, because all of us here are living in a time where, I grew up before computers, and I, watched this whole transition into now everybody's just a genius because we have a computer, and I can Google it, But what the big question comes to me is like, whether or not all of it's delusional, whether or not there really is any type of awareness beyond just being alive. What it comes down to, I think, really the question people don't ask is, am I happy, and how do I make myself happier without making others unhappy? So for me in my life, when I was younger, I wasn't an atheist, but I was pretty hardcore against religious people. I would, if you were a Christian, you better not start talking about Jesus to me, because I'd been torn down by so many Christians who told me I was going to hell before I even knew anything about it.
You're going to hell.
Yeah, I'm
dude.
going to hell.
Yeah, I have the same problem, dude.
I've had
Yeah,
people tell me that I'm going to hell, even though they're the biggest hypocrites in the world. But
Can I share a story that I can share a story
individual for being?
Can I share a story I think everyone will appreciate? I had a little girl come to me just bawling her eyes out because some of the other kids told her that she was going to burn in hell. Just this poor little girl just bawling her eyes out. What is, this is horrible. This is child abuse,
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy. I just wanted to add that because that is great evidence for, our frustration with religion.
And that relates exactly to what I was talking about with the delusions, and that's what I meant about saying are delusions harmful, because so many people use those as examples of why having delusions are harmful.
Let me tell you something, guys. You can hurt someone with anything. You could hurt someone with scientific facts. You can hurt someone with reality. Even.
Yeah, but we're talking about horror. We're talking about absolute horror. We're talking about telling somebody,
what you're saying.
You are going to burn in hellfire for eternity to a child. Okay, so there are levels of what is good and bad, right?
I know what you're saying, logic.
Top of the line bad stuff, pretty horrible.
Well, the only thing I'm adding to this is that the fact that I think it is actually the individuals that are causing this. And I know you guys like to pick on like Christians and the whole hell thing. Because the problem with that is I think a lot of people who get into Christianity get groupthink, and then they start pushing that groupthink on other people. But here's the thing. If it wasn't Christianity, they'd be pushing groupthink with something else. Trust me, they would. Yep. And it could be something even worse. So maybe the fact that Christianity's there is not such a bad thing as you think.
Interesting.
I agree.
What about Nazis? I mean, that person could have easily become a Nazi because they were susceptible to groupthink. Everybody is susceptible to groupthink. It's just the fact that we see people today getting into groupthink with Christianity, and then and the problem with that is like they don't even fully understand their faith. They just hear something from the pastor or whatever, or they're doing something because it feels good. Because it does. It kind of gives you some kind of a completeness. If you
sure. Something. Yeah, it's like, I got it. I figured it all out.
Well, the thing is, they're going to push things on other people when I don't even necessarily think they're practicing their religion correctly. They're just kind of using groupthink, and then they're just shaming people when they shouldn't be doing that. And I think that would happen no matter what. I think that's the actual individual person that's just fucked up.
I don't know, the next groupthink thing is coming up is probably feminism, but who knows? Maybe that'll go away one day.
Well, you know, I think feminism, in a lot of ways, is worse than Christianity. So.
Well, yeah, because it's half of the population that's female, as opposed to, well, then again, you know, there's a lot of, you know, half the population's becoming Christian.
Well, I don't know too many Christians who would try to socially engineer everyone.
I don't know.
Well, the Christians already have their point in history.
Hey guys, I live in a town that's literally run by a mega church, and they push their religion and indoctrination into every facet of our community, and they really are attempting to take over. They're conquesting my town. So, you know, and historically, Christians have conquested people.
Yes.
There were a ton of communes set up where people were living peacefully. Christians came right in and they conquested all of that area. Christians go to Africa. They don't go there to help African Americans, or it's not African Americans. They don't go there to help people who live in Africa. They go there to conquest them.
Oh, and dude, that while you're on that point, man, that's one that really has always bugged me, is when people talk about all the great things the church has done, you know, and they talk about missionaries, and then you really see what the missionaries are up to. You know, sure. It's like, you convert or we ain't giving you shit. And it's like, it's become a dominating force. Everybody wants to be in control and know what's right. Have you ever seen the experiments they've done where they took these college kids and they put them in a prison where a whole bunch of them were prisoners and some of them were prison guards, and they had to quit the experiment within 72 hours because they were actually abusing the prisoners, even though they were playing a role. Like, less than 2 days had passed, but the group mentality from the prison guard kids, and they couldn't believe they'd actually done it. Whenever you have a group, you have the power within that group, and the only way to keep that power is to make sure that everybody else is wrong. And this is why Christians are so opposed to others. And I've had so many discussions with Christians. I've actually become more tolerant to Christians because I've met so many good Christians who say, no, I just believe in a Christ consciousness or awareness. But really, when you get down to the root of it, you have to believe the Bible to be a Christian, because otherwise there's no evidence that Christ exists. And therefore you have to follow the Bible completely because it's the Word of God. And this is where the problems come in. And it's all about understanding the metaphors behind the Bible, because I used to think the Bible was just a pile of shit, just garbage, you know, stories written. Now I see the symbolism within it. I see the stories and the archetypes because I've done research of multiple religions, and I see the value in it. And I feel like Christians are like children with their own book. Sure. And they don't even understand. They won't even look through the lines. I say, well, could this possibly mean this instead? Because if it does, that makes Jesus not a vengeful, wrathful man, but a guy saying the power is within you to find your own truth. And that's the message I believe the Bible is conveying.
And the Old Testament and the New Testament really contradict each other in that light. But I think, like, when I read the Bible, it's really separated by lines, and I see these lines as like individual emotional messages rather than them being like telling a story per se. It seems more like they're creating connections between feelings. Like, there's a section when you read about how great God is, and it's just like, you know, God is amazing, and they're saying it in different ways and constructing him based on how powerful he is and the skills that he has as a god and things like that. Mm-hmm. They're creating like an emotional connection between you and the character in the book, and this helps to actualize the existence of that God. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You want an example of a circular argument? The Bible's true because the Bible's true because the Bible's true.
That's it. That's the root of it right there. That's what it is. The Bible is the Word of God. Well, how do you know? Because it says in the Bible. Well, how do you know the Bible's the Word of God? Because it says it in the Bible. It's just over and over, you know. And it's like I've grown more tolerant and understanding of people who are religious only because I'd give it to people like Manly P. Hall, who, you know, I listened to a lot of his lectures, and he would say that, he said, religion is not the problem. He says dogma is the problem. Because people will always need religion. So as long as people are saying you shouldn't believe in a superior intelligence because it's not true, that's never going to fly. Nobody's ever going to change their mind because people need something bigger than themselves. It's just how humans are. We're scared in this world. As strong-willed as we want to be and as cool as we think we are, you know, I went through my 20s thinking I was just a badass, you know, and then I grew into reality and like, oh, yeah, we're all going to die, you know, yeah, we got to figure out what we want to do with our lives, and this is all up to me. This is all my run. I can't let other people's shit affect me. I got to do things my way.
Right, exactly.
But still live within, and that's the thing. You still have to integrate, because if you just step away and just say, well, fuck everybody else, you're just part of the problem. You have to actually find a way to integrate and try to change try to change society without thinking that you're changing society into something better, because how do you know what's better, right?
I have some things to say about that. So I feel like, okay, you don't have to necessarily subscribe to a religion in order to gain, or in order to use a lot of good things that come from a religion. Like the Bible itself. There's a lot of good information there. On my channel, I dissected the Garden of Eden, and it's not what a lot of people were told to think it was. Because I've broken it down really well, but
have you heard Bill Donahue's work?
Phil Donahue?
Bill Donahue.
Oh, Bill Donahue? No.
He does Bible, and he basically breaks it down into, you know, the symbolism and metaphors. I don't go with everything he says 100%. He's got a YouTube channel. He's just this really animated old dude, and he was talking about casting the net to the right side, you know, for catching fish, and the whole symbolism of the right side of the brain and stuff. And so there's a lot to learn that may be in there or may or not. I mean, I've got like 3 or 4 copies of the Bible myself, plus like commentaries and stuff, and I enjoy reading it because, you know, I want to be armed to at least say, well, this is what I think of it, rather than just throw it outright and just say, you know, it's just garbage, you know. If you want to know, you've got to look at it, you know, otherwise you're just denying it, just like they're denying you, you know. So when a Christian comes to me and says, oh, well, have you read the Bible? I say, yeah, actually.
I was merely saying that there are plenty of useful things from different religions. Like you could hate on a religion, you could not take anything useful from it, or you could just, you know, you could observe it and use what you think is good from it, because I think there are good things from religions. Even the people who are practicing these things that you don't necessarily agree with, they could be good people, they could be interesting people, they may have a lot to contribute even though they believe in that religion. It doesn't necessarily disqualify them from being a good person on this earth that you can have good communication with.
No, I agree.
I'm also glad to know you're a botanist. Like having oxygen, like in the water, it is very good for certain plants. If you can get some kind of bubbling system, like a water stone and a pump and whatnot.
Yeah, I used to bubble my reservoirs all the time. Yeah, works pretty well. Yeah, I love plants.
But you were talking about like how do you change water frequency, and what experiments did you do?
Oh man, I started having this theory, and this was kind of way out there, so I never really followed up on it. But I had this thought that after, I don't remember what inspired it, but that the sun's frequency, the frequency of the sun, if you will, can like charge water, and people started claiming that certain sounds would actually charge water. And you know, I didn't do it long enough or have a controlled enough room to actually really know. All I know is that I would take these giant jug of water and set it on the speaker setup and vibrated it, I think like 72 hertz for like an hour, a couple hours, and then water the plants with it. And they really seemed to just go crazy. I mean, the leaves were standing up taller than I've ever seen them. But then I go back and I say, well, how much of this was my expectation? How much was my intention? How much was the water itself and the different levels in the water? And there's just no conclusive, you know.
Have you ever heard of, and sorry to just jump in, my name's True Sharm, by the way.
What's up?
Yeah, have you ever heard of, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of binary beats?
Yeah, binaural beats, yeah. They're supposed to be, There's supposed to be a different frequency played in each ear that's supposed to cause an effect similar to, well, they're selling it as drugs now. There's like opium, and there's, you know, even
It's
have one.
free online, but
Yeah, I don't know how well they work. I don't know. It seems a little. I don't know. I've tried it before.
That's what it sounds to me. I was watching some video on YouTube where they would write words on bottles of water and they would freeze it, and then they would look at the water in like a microscope, and then like the words that. Yeah. Okay. So that's what that reminds me of, and I believe with the whole taking things so seriously, because I'm listening in and I'm agreeing that you could take things so seriously to where it's now affecting you, to where one person's negativity and it's like a choice with us. We're not bottles of water. We're human beings that have free thought. So you could choose to hold on to that hatred and that anger, but you see like the water experiment, you become ugly inside. That liquid or that spirit inside of you it becomes ugly. So in my personal opinion, like I don't think personally the way that society is set up that I think marriage or relationships are a good idea, but at the same token, I'm not going to condescend people and belittle people just because you don't agree with my ideas. So I'm going to keep that positivity so I could continue to flow, you know, and then
That's the way
people
to do
are
it.
around you.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's actually going to help a lot of people, because people are getting all this anger, and I think it's doing them a lot of harm. It's having the opposite effect of what they actually want. When you keep getting upset over something that you don't want into your life, I think you start bringing more of that into your life. What do you guys think?
You do. And not only that, absolutely. Not only that, but it breaks you down because you get broken from the inside out. Because if you start stressing and getting mad at people, it just kills you. It literally kills you. Stress kills
your energy.
Anger kills you. It sucks your energy so fast. You sleep more. You don't feel as good during the day. Since I let go of all my anxieties, I forgave anybody who wronged me. I don't get mad at people or groups or hold in resentments, and I've been able to practice that over the last few years a lot more, to where when somebody says something that makes me mad, it just goes literally right off in one ear out the other, and I don't hold anything in, and I live so much happier, man. My life is healthy. I don't give a fuck. I don't have to prove myself to anybody or say, well, no, you know, and I don't get defensive. I just explain myself. I'm
glad you guys said that. That helps me a lot. That helps me a lot.
I totally agree with what you just said.
Oh, go ahead. In my personal opinion, if you are going to be look at the repercussions of negative people. Okay, toxic people give off toxic people. There's no like, you know how they say violence only begets violence. It's the same thing. Like I listen to certain ideologies where they say don't hit your kids. And, you know, you want to, obviously, because, you know, they could get irritated, you know, little shits. But you also got to take into account that when you hit them, then now all they're gonna know how to solve a situation is to hit their way through it.
Oh yeah,
exactly. So now you have to be that guy that, okay, look, son, I know you're confused because this is a new world for you, but let's try to figure it out. And you can't get mad if he doesn't understand because he's a kid.
Right.
So when you see your kid writing on the wall and breaking stuff, you can't be mad. First of all, it's your fault. Second of all, you have to think. Negative people gravitate negativity. It's the same thing with positive people. Okay, absolutely. Positive people gravitate positivity.
Negative people, man.
I agree with that.
I just totally avoid that.
Here's the thing. I wanted to point this out. Like, what you're talking about is the law of attraction, and a lot of people have a hard time accepting that idea. I think because they don't have enough patience to sit there and test the theory, like apply it into their life.
He's totally right, though.
It's true.
He is right. He is right. I'm just saying that a lot of people have a hard time accepting that as a useful tool in your life, like as a useful practice, because It's not.
Because it
It's not
takes
something
time.
that's. Yes, it does. It takes time, and like if you were to try to confirm it, you'd have to continually put it into practice, and then you would see the result of it. As opposed to another thing that actually gives you more perspective is if you had a toxic person in your life, and like a very toxic person in your life, and then you removed them, then you would get that angle as well.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I have been that guy who
Yes.
has made those videos that has screamed and hollered and all that stuff. We've all been there at some point or another. That's what this is. But the next evolution is to sit back and watch the chess pieces and go, what am I doing? Because
Straight
it's
up.
like, okay, like
Straight up.
my thing is I'm entertaining, right? So my arch
Absolutely.
nemesis right off the bat is Arnita Sarkeesian, right? So I have all this anger toward her, but like after a while, it's like, you know what? They're still
I don't
gonna
care
keep
anymore.
giving her money. They're
Yeah.
still gonna keep supporting her. They're still gonna keep having horny horn dog men trying to watch her for whatever. So it's you're not going to be able to change that. That's unchangeable. And the
Right.
only way you could change it is by not giving it any kind of power, because that's primarily where most women get their power from, is from crazy, weird, illogical dudes who just, oh, I'm going to hate this. This is why she's famous right now, because dudes are so.
Yeah,
and-
but can I
and
say
back
something? Can I say something on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
basically, if we think about people who are bad, if we talk about people who are bad, we give them power
We give
over
them more
us.
power.
You're
And that is
amplifying.
exactly what they want, and that is how they get their power. By us
Oh,
thinking
God.
that, yeah, they're trying to play a victim. Also, they're trying to be an aggressor. They want to be somebody who's going after people, and they like how that feels. And if you're thinking about them, then they're getting what they want.
The troll card.
You can
I've seen
create
entire
your
channels
logic.
destroyed over that. By people who get a person who's harassing them on their YouTube channel, let's say, and then they move from making YouTube videos into completely defending themselves against this person, and then they end up shutting their whole channel down because this one person who has an opinion in some other country or state about them has
Bullshit.
affected them so
Bull-
much.
You-
Fuck those people.
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
it's not,
Shut
it's not worth it.
down.
The energy.
Oh yeah.
You just shut down your entire livelihood, man. All because of you like think about it. Like a person like PewDiePie. PewDiePie or whatever his name is, right? The most popular dude in the world, pretty much. The guy I idolize and want to be, pretty much. This guy, he has a large audience following that loves this guy. But who does he concentrate on? The people who troll him and the people who, he concentrates on that aspect. Now, I don't know him personally. I'm not, I don't know him per se. But this is majority of people where it's like, you're afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to fail because, first of all, you're not going to do anything about the asshole people. Like, you're going to have your Anita Sarkeesians and your whoever's out there, whoever you don't like. They're going to be there. But you have to concentrate on your happiness. At the end of the day, what makes you happy?
Totally. I'm all on board for this. Good stuff.
As long as what you're doing to make yourself happy isn't coming at the cost of others' happiness, and that's one of the
I
keys I
agree.
think people overlook. Like people are like, well, I'm just making my money, at the cost of a bunch of people who lost theirs or whatnot. But I think that we all have that. That's where it comes back full circle, back to guilt. When you're living within your means, within your standards, and you go through past a certain point, and you're like, it doesn't feel right. And that's all you can do is just live. I mean, people are going to affect you, of course. That's how life is. And a person's going to say something that you don't agree with or that, makes you angry for a moment. And you're going to have to process that. If you don't, then you're not dealing with it. But it shouldn't be something that you carry with you all the time because, like you said, those guys want that. They're trolling for attention, trolling for hate. And my personal approach has been just to say, yeah, well, fuck you, and I just write them off.
Yeah.
In a way, just basically express that their opinion does not matter to me, and then just ignore them, and they go away. And this isn't just online.
Yeah.
This isn't life. This is people. You do attract negative people if you're negative. And since I've found myself, negative people can suck energy from positive people, but negative
Yes.
people usually don't want to be around positive people because they find it to be, oh, fake, this guy's, they want to mope with other mopers. I don't know. It
Totally.
Well, what's a
Here's
good way to
here's
have
my
other
trick.
people?
Here's my trick, man.
Have you guys ever been like confronted by somebody who's just like antagonizing you to an extent where you were backed into a corner and you had to be aggressive and fight them off?
physically.
Absolutely.
Just anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Definitely.
Well,
I've been in that
True words.
situation so many times with friends because I'm the big black guy. So I'm always getting fucked with by little dudes. I don't know what that's about. So it's always like whenever I get a little friend, he's always, like just fucking with me because he knows I'm going to say something funny to make him laugh or some shit. But what I've learned over the years and over the time from just being goofy and stupid myself is that when you go to war with someone or you beef with someone, you can't do it all at once. You got to do it in increments. My example is my enemy. My enemy is Anita Sarkeesian. I study my enemy. She does not come out with videos every single day. She's on queen level right now. She speaks when the queen has to speak, and the people listen. She knows what she's doing. That's why I'm learning too. I'm learning how to be more precise, more subtle in my attitude, because I don't want the anger to control me. I want to be in control of my anger. So when
Totally.
you because you're gonna beef. You're a man. You're gonna beef with somebody. So, but when you do it in little increments. Do it, take your shots, because at the end of the day, you guys are gonna come together. You're gonna have a beer. You're gonna do the Macho Man Randy Savage brother. You're gonna have the adult beverage. You have a fight. Go to the bar and get some shit.
That's not me at all. Actually, I've never had that. That's never been my style at all. I've actually, I've never had the beefy, the friends that do the beefs and the argues. I've always had a peaceful relationship with all of my friends.
Well, not necessarily with friends
I know what you
necessarily, but
just
people in general.
whenever I've had an issue with people in general, if I come across people like that, whether it be in the workplace or elsewhere, I just kind of just wander off and I never visit them again. And it's always been my thing. I found that whenever I have problems with whether, like, I have no enemies, so if I don't have friends that I get along with very well, then we part ways. I have good friends I grew up with for years, but they get themselves in trouble, so I'm very careful. I won't even hang out with people, and it sounds kind of like snobbish, but I have got a friend who, we weren't that great of friends, but we grew up together, and he had some problems a while back with drugs, and I was just like, dude, I'm not dealing with another fucking meth head. Fuck you. I didn't say that. I just didn't answer his texts or his calls. I didn't put myself into the situation where it could turn into an argument or any problem on my end. So I really only have like 2 or 3 real friends in life, but those are the friends that I can trust, people that, I don't feel like I have to compete with.
I agree. This is totally how relationships should work. I mean, if the relationship isn't equal in the way both people are treating each other and the way both people see each other and respect each other, then it's not a relationship. It's some kind of weird power thing you're playing with someone.
It's
it's like some kind of
hierarchy.
Husband and wife are the perfect example. So many husbands and wives are mortal fucking enemies. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have a friend now who's in so much mental anguish because him and his wife are having all these problems. They've barely been married a year, and it's like people expect too much of each other. And the reason I bring up marriage is because it's a good example, a good reflection of what we expect of society in general. We want people to think like we think. We want people to do what we do, and it causes problems when they don't. So just letting all that go and realizing people are people. Of course, to an extent, you still have to defend. If you see people doing wrong things, you can't just say, "Oh well, people murder." But you have to accept people for who they are. And if a husband can't accept their own wife that they live with, then you've got serious problems, or vice versa.
And here's my thing with the term enemy. To me, I use the term enemy very loosely. To me, enemy is very small time shit. Like it's just stuff you disagree with. Like, I'm an enemy to that idea because I disagree with it. But see, here's where some people take it too far. Where now you like here's the thing. I was that guy, okay? Or at least I could have been that guy. But I did not turn into that guy. Thank goodness I stopped myself. But I could see how it's so easy where you could go to a person you don't like and just start going on this this justified rampage that's inside your mind is justified, but in reality, it's your world, and you got to keep in mind our field of vision is very small, man. We
Yeah.
control very little in our little universe, and we have to understand that we have to share some of this shit with 7 billion others of our people. So I want to get it to a level where
Yeah, I totally
know I'm
agree
full
with
of
that.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
like, the main thing I was pointing out, guys, is that I've been in a situation where I had to fight somebody off because I was basically backed into a corner and I really had no other choice, and I was unwilling to give up certain things. Somebody was just intruding on me too much, and I was unwilling to give up my liberty.
You do what you got to do. That's all it is.
But I think that should be like that was really like my last resort. That was like the last thing I wanted to do, but I did it anyway because I had to out of necessity. And I think in that situation, it's perfectly acceptable.
Yep.
Okay, you
It
guys,
is.
is it okay if I move on to another topic, you guys?
Sure.
Yeah, you guys want to go on? Okay, so I want to talk about, we talked a little bit about this, but I wanted to talk about the value of hope. Is hope important? Should we make sure that we have hope? Do you guys have any?
Absolutely.
You guys all have some arguments for that?
always.
Yeah.
I think
The
that
glass is always half full.
it'd be
It
better.
sounds-
It'd be better if you had more control over your life rather than just being hopeful that something is going to work out. Like, what's your definition of hope?
It's that, I mean, I don't have it, so I just want to talk about that idea. I'm not sure
Like
what
hope and faith? Like hope and faith as being the same type of word, or in the sense of just hoping? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Both of you are saying.
Hope for the
in
good.
that
Like,
sense.
is it like a
You don't want to
desperate
just-
hope? Is it like a desperate hope, or is it like something that you have control over, or is it just like you have more positive attitude? Like, how are we
Like-
defining this?
Exactly.
Like kind of like hope for good. Like to hope that the good will prevail. Is it worth hoping for good?
It is.
Well, when you get up in the
man-
morning, isn't that like that?
If I did not hope, if I did not believe in some shit, like look, this whole religion thing's got me bugged out, so I don't really follow this shit. But in terms of goodness and knowing, like, there's something inside of me morally that tells me this is some fucked up shit I'm witnessing. I should do something, or like it's something inside of me that tells me it's hard to explain. Okay,
It's
there's no
intuition.
religion or no. Yeah, there's no man or no woman that can tell me what it is. It's just growing up, respect my mom, respect my dad, blah 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 blah. But you don't have to respect your mom. You don't have
No.
to respect your dad.
Yeah, you
That
have
is
to do
not what I'm
anything.
saying at all. But I'm saying when you feel that love and you feel that vibe, you know to give it back. You innately know. You just know. You know to be a
you know
nice
what?
person.
I don't
you know
know.
to be a good person.
I don't know about that. I kind of felt like I have to. No one else is going to help me. So you kind of have to parasite off them to a degree. I mean,
You
if I
gotta
had
believe.
a choice between my parents and another set of parents when I was a kid, I totally would choose another set.
Really?
And that's fair.
Oh, absolutely.
That's totally
Like,
fair.
Even when I was a little kid.
Logic.
Well,
do you
Well, that
think-
sounds kind of
you
like the
would be
behavior that
same
we're
person
rejecting as a
today?
whole.
Do you think you would even be the same person today if you had a different set of parents? You might be a completely different person, one that you
Sure.
might actually not want to be.
Yeah, and in that aspect, it doesn't really matter. And so that's kind of what gets me over it. Like, oh, well, I'm all right.
In the sense of hope, I hope or hoping for something better or having positivity. In my personal opinion, I think that it's what's changed my life. It's been the single biggest driver in me accepting the fact that here I am for a time, I'm going to die. That's life. I can deal with death. I can deal with understanding life is what it is because I have hope for something greater. But like you said, hope can be defined as so many different things. But for me, it's become a matter of seeing things in the positive light of what they are, and that's where it comes down to alchemy. And when I started reading a lot more about alchemy and understanding that it's really just a mental process, that's when I'm like, well, if these elders were applying this stuff and they found it so important, I could at least give it a shot. Because like you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
if you don't apply it, it's like people say, oh, meditation doesn't work. Well, have you tried it? Once. It's like you have to constantly look at every situation positive, and when you catch yourself slipping and trying to pull out all the problems in it, just be like, You know, it's just
Totally.
like when you see a movie and all you do is just criticize the whole movie. You know, I do that all the time. But there's another way to do it. Say it's a shitty movie, expect it to be, and just be like it is what it is, and just take it for what it is. And
Right.
that's what.
Yes, can I-
nostalgia.
I
nostalgia.
find
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can
I
I share
find that.
something?
Sure.
Is it okay, guys? So, my first experience with this type of thing was when I lived in Japan for 2 years. And that's why I tell people you have to somehow expand your consciousness by putting yourself literally and physically in weird places. You can do this with chemicals, or you can actually go to another place, but it's called a trip for a reason, right? So putting yourself in another place helps you to bend your mind to look at it from another angle. And then you see how malleable the brain is and how strange the human experience is. And it makes you question the reality that you've always lived in and what you've always thought is true or right. And so that's what happened when I went to Japan, and it totally changed me as a person.
Sounds like you were stationed in the military.
Yeah, in terms of whole, because I was in the military too, and I was stationed in Japan for a year, 6 months at a time, and I had that experience where you finally look at the world for what it is instead of looking at where you're from, and when you have that experience, you do get hopeless because now you're starting to look at all the bad shit that humanity has done. And you're criticizing it, but after a while you get to this point. Hopefully, if you get to this point, not get driven mad by the madness. But when you get to a certain point where you go, we have to believe. We have to. If someone's not fighting for a change, if someone's not fighting for positivity, fuck it, I'll do it. This is my time to shine. Then at this point, because you have to know in a world full of crazy shit that you have to believe that if not someone you could follow that's the righteous person, then you fucking do it. So I made up my mind a long time ago to do it for myself, to do it for myself, but not to. Yeah, exactly. Not to shit on others or try my best not to, because I'm still gonna beef with people. I'm human, but try my best to make sure that even when I do, I know I'm getting into a debate with another person who's just as confused about the world as I am.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and on that note, debating is very important. People think arguments are something to be avoided, and they're
No.
not. The argument in itself is not a bad word. Argument is how you resolve issues.
Question
Another word for it
everything.
is discussion.
Yeah. Question
Well,
everything.
I think of it as a reflection. Reflection. That's like what do you call it? Philosophy 101. If you have somebody else to reflect with, you have so much more to gain at that point.
Yep.
Insight.
Then you get to the old ethos, pathos, logos, and you start to have to respect the person. This is why even people who have such a great explanation, if they're a kind of person I don't trust, it means nothing. But the information has to stand alone sometimes by itself. But like you were saying about, getting outside of yourself and seeing the world for what it is. Imagine you just go to Japan and you see the world differently. Now imagine all the, hundreds of other countries, whatever, 200 countries or something.
Yeah.
And you
that's
think,
what you
think
start
of
thinking
all
about.
the individual experience, and the people get this defeatist view, and they start thinking that, let's say you're in the military and you go to war, and it appears that everybody's just fighting, that the world's just in chaos. That's the world you know. But in reality, 99.9% of people are just taking out the dog for a walk, getting some water.
People don't
and
want
everybody
war.
just wants to live. And this is where the problem comes in, is nationalism. We start talking about borders, and everybody wants to stand up for their nation.
Yeah.
It is important, because you have to bond together for your community. But at what point do we stop? It's team after team. We've got this guy against that guy. We've got city against city. Each half of the city against the other half of the city. Even households pitted against each other. Super Bowl today. Forgot all about that.
Oh yeah,
I won't be
I
watching
too.
that.
Having too much fun with you guys.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
I just can't. I think it's cool. Competition is important. I think that it's something that people want, which kind of goes along with the argument, but it's its own thing. Sports are a completely different story. I think it's just. I can't deal with sports. I'm just not into it.
Well, see, the sports. I'll take it from here. I haven't watched football in a while, but I know football, and this is one place where you need a sense of hope, because this is a place when it's done right, and you don't have someone like Jerry Sadowski, but when it's done right, you have a team of pretty much, this is where you learn your first lessons of responsibility, where you learn your first lessons of teamwork, working together. This is where you learn pretty much your first lessons as a man, is in football. And you have to figure out where you fit in, and then shine at whatever you do.
Can I chime in on that from a logical perspective? So my biggest problem with sports is that I see too many kids get brain damage from being hit in the head by balls, and football is a very violent sport. So something that we're also teaching children is that it's a normal thing to be violent against another group of people. That's one, and then the second. It promotes that aggressive part of the brain, and it's going to encourage that to be more stimulated in the prefrontal cortex. So it does a lot of bad things to the human mind, and so that's my.
You also got to keep in mind, though, that this is a lot of kids' ticket out. And for a lot of kids, they don't really know how to be as logical and you know, they're already forced into a spot where they have to get a 2.5 grade point average in order to maintain a spot on the team. Now they got to go to college. And so they're getting their dues of learning. So there are more of these football players who are actually doing well, and then when they retire, they're starting to maintain the business, because 30 for 30 is waking a lot of these football players up. So when they get out of football, they go into businesses and they go into different kinds of careers, and they're just wasting all their money.
But if they only have a 2.8 GPA, how are they going to even function in the real world at all? So what does any of that matter?
Well, not everyone's going to be a scientist. You know, you're going to have some barbaric brute, okay? I mean, you got to think slavery for that.
Okay.
They tried to breed the biggest and the strongest, and not just with the blacks, but they did it with the whites too. You think they didn't throw the white people out there in the cotton fields? They threw everyone out there.
Sure.
They tried to breed everyone.
But here's the thing,
we're all debt slaves.
But here's the thing, guys. So isn't it bad that we take that as a cultural thing? So, okay, football is not just like a little thing that happens. This is a big cultural phenomenon that people are extremely distracted by and base their lives upon. Wait, but that's the preset of my argument. So, okay, that being said, isn't it a really big problem that this is a central focus of our culture, that instead of actually talking about things and caring about intelligence and trying to encourage children that don't have intelligence to obtain it as much as they can, we instead let people take like a primal pathway to try to somehow make it in the world? But isn't that just bad for us altogether if we promote something that's aggressive as virtue?
Yes and no, because yes and no, because the reason why I would disagree with you on the no part is because you're insinuating that every football player doesn't give back to society in an intellectual way, and that could be proven wrong.
No, I'm just saying that it promotes
the thing that we're saying is that football as a whole is an industry that is created around excess greed, consumption, consumerism.
You mean like Coors Light and things like that?
Whatever it originally was intended to be, which was a sport, it's going to be completely overshadowed by the fact that every aspect of it is down to nothing but money. And so what we're teaching kids is that it's okay to play football as long as you're going to make enough money. And it's okay to damage your brain as long as you're making enough money, because it's worth it.
So
but
you're trying to.
It's only the ticket out for maybe 1 in a million kids.
Yeah, let's be honest about it.
The rest of the kids just go back out and they're just fucked up for life with the fucked up knees, and my son. I have a 21-year-old son or 20-year-old son, believe it or not. He when he went into high school football, he wanted to play because his cousins were telling him he should play football because he's a big kid. And I'm like, yeah, but you're a smart kid. Why do you want to play football? You've got a healthy body, But he played. After the first couple of years, he realized that he was fucking himself up, and he quit. And that was his own choice. I'm not going to force him. I'm his dad, but I can't. I can't say you can't play football. If he wants to play football, and that was a tough decision for me because he fucked his leg up. I mean, he's okay now. My good friend, he played football for 1 year and he's got 2 fucked up knees, and it doesn't take much. But
Yeah, this is a good point. And if you hurt yourself when you're young, that's permanent, man.
yeah, that's
Hold on,
permanent.
man.
And a lot of kids are messed up. They don't even realize the damage that's been done until years later, and they attribute it to something else, because you already have a weakened ligaments or, cartilage, and it just wears down over time. I'm a carpenter. I was a carpenter for 20 years till my back gave out, so I know what it's like to wear down your joints a day at a time, to where eventually your arm hurts so bad and you don't even realize it's happening, and it sucks.
And those are
All that aside, football isn't the problem. It's people's preoccupation with competition, because it's politics. It's politics. It's sports. It's nationalism. It's everybody's out us against them, and people make comments like, we should just blow up the Middle East. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Are you that stupid?
Yeah.
My friend after the first Iraq war, so he told me he didn't even know that they had roads in Iraq during the first war, because he was like, we need to go in there and just nuke them. And then after the war started, he said, honestly, I didn't even know they had paved roads there. And I'm like, this is the problem. This is the problem with ignorance. We don't understand
those
each
are
other.
some excellent points. Those are like some damn good excellent points. And
I agree with him on those.
I'm so glad that you said that, because looking at it from that perspective, it takes a lot in. I understand. I know the flip side of the argument, but you pretty much summed it all up. It's pretty much their choice. So you can't really do much if they go in and become a part of that world. But I see what you guys are saying as far as the dangers and getting these guys aware of what they're getting themselves into.
Well, yeah. Sure. Can I say something? So my father kind of forced me to play football when I was a kid, and I'm not an aggressive person. I don't want to hit people. My dad made me do it, and so this does happen where kids don't want to play and they're being forced to play. And so, like, you may think, like, it's good, but do we really need to see a bunch of kids hitting each other for no reason than our own feelies? You know what I'm saying?
And you bring up a good point about people forcing their kids to do all kinds of stuff. People who want their kids to join the military, they want their kids to follow in their family's footsteps, and that's the problem, is we're not teaching kids to be individuals. We're not teaching them the value of what it means to be alive, where we're just saying, oh, well, you're just alive, we're not quite sure, this is what you might believe or not believe, but we're not saying, hey, kid, look at this world around you. This is amazing, and we don't get it. And we haven't been able to figure it out yet, and you have full potential to do anything you want. No, we want cookie cutter kids.
Saying that to your kid is going to get them a lot farther than trying to force something on your kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just like parenting out of fear rather than out of respect, because my 20-year-old, we raised him to respect us rather than fear us, and that was hard, because it takes longer for a kid to build the respect than it does if you just beat it into them, obviously. But once they develop it, it's lifelong, and they never want to disappoint you. Now he'll come to me and tell me everything. He doesn't hold secrets. He was always honest. If he did something stupid or got high or did drugs, he would tell us about it, because he knew that we weren't going to beat his ass about it. And that's the thing, that's the metaphor for society in general. We're afraid of getting beaten. Maybe not physically, but everybody's going to beat our asses if we have an opinion of our own or do something different.
I have one last question about football or sports in general. Do you think that they're trying to move in a more positive direction? I'm seeing that they have this show where Ray Lewis is going to teach these coaches how not to be aggressive anymore, because they're shining more awareness of aggressive coaching, and that whole Jerry Sadowski thing woke up a lot of parents to the darkness of the possibility of the darkness in the sports world. So what do you think? Do you think that there's any possibility that we could turn sports into a much more positive thing, where people are not saying ignorant things, or are you? Because you do have people saying things like just outlandish, like, dude, you are not a politician. You don't control policy. You don't have any say here. But why are you saying this? Right. And it's strange, and it's illuminative, and it's like, this is not about football anymore. This is about whatever these people want to show us, and it's toxic. And I agree with you guys. A lot of what you guys are saying, I agree with. But I want to know, do you ever think it's going to get positive?
I don't follow any of football, so I don't know any of the people or anything. But I honestly think that if it is changing, if they are going a more positive direction, it's out of obligation, and they're doing it because they're feeling forced to, rather than because they want to. That's
Right.
money.
Right. Well,
to
and
make it look better to the people, but hey, that would be cool. I mean, we gotta have, the thing is, sports aren't going away. It's just like, with religion, like, you can't bash religion all day because it's not going away. It's just something we have to learn to cope with and deal with and educate better on how to think for yourself, I guess. But I guess I'm one guy, I'm the minority in the sports world because everybody around me, watches football. I'm the weird guy that's here on Super Bowl Sunday talking online instead of getting ready for the game, buying a recliner and a TV.
You see who's sitting here with you. You see who's sitting here with your brother.
I won't have a single beer today, but yeah.
I don't watch that much football either. But see, I have a little boy too. So hearing you say that gives me a lot of lessons to teach him. You see what I'm saying?
You see what I mean, though, that there's
I see what you mean
about the game. People want to get high and get together, and that's cool. But it's more of a gathering than it is, for the Super Bowl. And I understand that. That's cool. It's for a lot of guys. That's their hangout day. That's what they do. So I'm not dissing on that or anything. I'm just that if people like sports, I'm totally cool with that. I think that it's hard to see people damage their bodies like that. But people are going to make those decisions. They just need to be aware if they're making that decision of the repercussions later in life. But when you're young, how do you teach a kid that, 30 years from now you might be in pain? Oh, well, kids are going to do stuff like that.
Yeah, and can I add something? So
I was a skater, so,
Yeah, and can I,
yeah.
Is it okay if I add something? So now we have violent video games that kids can play, and that helps violent children get their aggression out. And actually, since violent video games have been created, the amount of the amount of aggression that children have had, like the percentage of bullying cases and things like this, has greatly decreased. And I think football originally was for the purpose. Yeah, it's true. And I think the original purpose of football was to get some of the violent kids to get some of their aggression out.
Okay.
And I just think we have something new that doesn't hurt people that they can use instead. So I feel like the purpose of football is sort of losing its touch. I'm not sure it matters anymore.
You hear it all the time in this crazed media where they say video games cause violence, and then you just bring up these incredible numbers right here. And everyone knows this, and this is why I don't trust mainstream media at all, because it's especially when they get into arguments like a MGTOW or like marijuana or like gaming or you know what I mean, man.
Yeah.
It does sound like that, but I don't trust this media because they have a tendency to ignore the people. And I'm not with that. I really am not.
Pretty sure MGTOW's on one of their blacklist words.
Yeah, totally.
I was just gonna say, the marijuana thing. There was a kibosh on that. It was originally done because it was something to the effect of, I don't want the white women to get seduced by the marijuana from the black man or something. It was something very bigoted, and that's why the prohibition on it got started.
Reapers have power, right? Magic.
I mean,
what was that? I was just taking
it's
a
no
bomb
different
hit. I didn't hear
Rosa
you.
Parks or anything. It's no different than that. So reefer madness.
Yeah, reefer madness. Take it easy. Take it easy, guys.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, I thought that
What
was...
were you saying about the black man smoking weed and taking white women? What?
That was how the prohibition got started on it. Somebody said.
Technically, the oldest reference is India. So, sorry.
Is that? Hold on, wait. Is that really the reason? That can't be for real.
That's a reason.
That's what I heard.
That's one of the
newspapers.
One of the first reasons I heard was actually an economic sanction because marijuana plants were cheaper to grow than
the marijuana and raping the women. Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, I know it's horrible, but if you look at old newspapers, there are records of politically based newspapers publishing articles on things like this. So it's a real thing. I mean, it was in the 20s. When was it? 20s?
It was the 20s or 30s. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so it's out
terrible.
there, man. Yeah, I know. People were really bad back then. Thankfully,
The-
we don't
I gotta
play.
go, guys.
There's all
It's been
sorts
cool
of
talking
weird-
with you guys.
Bye,
I gotta head
Carpo.
out. Peace, man. It was
Peace
great.
out, man.
Okay, you guys, that was
Talk to you
Carpo.
later, man.
Carpo 713. Was it
Kids are
713?
calling me.
Okay, see you.
Carpo, add me if you want to, man.
I'm
Yes,
gonna
excellent
let
point,
everybody
yeah.
know of Carpo's channel so everybody can subscribe to him.
All right.
Let's see here. So
Yeah, but
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go
marijuana,
ahead.
man. In terms of marijuana, it's like it really irritates me when people get their panties up in a bunch about marijuana. When it's like you look at the numbers with DUIs and cigarettes and aspirin and coffee, and it's like I'm not trying to hear you. I really am not. The information's been out there for a decade now, and it's just gonna keep getting more faster. And there's nothing that these people could do about it. Now, I'm not saying everyone should, because marijuana's not for everyone, obviously. Just like drinking's not for everyone. I don't drink.
So
I don't
wait,
drink at
what-
all. I don't touch this stuff.
Okay.
Don't
What
like
does
it. But
aspirin
at the
and
same
coffee have to
time,
do?
I'm not gonna. Well, I'm just simply saying, if you look at the numbers and compare them to marijuana, the numbers show that marijuana doesn't kill as half as people as aspirin, coffee, cigarettes, and alcohol.
Okay.
Aspirin kills more people than coffee. Coffee kills
Right.
more people than the bullshit that they smoke, man. Like they smoke cigarettes and that shit gives them lung cancer, and then the alcohol gives them DUIs. And whatever they want to blame alcohol on. Like right now the whole NFL is up in arms about the domestic violence shit. But with marijuana, you look at the numbers and it's like, okay, let's look at domestic violence. Okay, that's a joke. Let's look at how many people die from marijuana. Okay, that's a joke. Let's see how many people. It's like you go through the numbers and it's like, okay, high school kids in this one city smoke marijuana, they get 4.0 grade average. What the fuck is going on? How is marijuana possibly making you stupid? Like, I have a whole channel that I could prove to you out of hours and dedication of, schoolwork and all kinds of bullshit that I went through, and computers and that. Come on, man, marijuana does not affect you like that. So what do you guys thought?
Not only that,
I
but
think it
so
gets
many
back
people
to the
are
original
using
argument.
cannabis now that if it really caused negative effects, they would be really vocal about it because this is a serious public health issue. So if they had evidence that proved that it was wrong, the media would be all over it because God knows, like, they spend all of their time arguing against it. If they had a better argument available to them, they would go jump all over it, right? Wouldn't they? So, I mean, like, we would know if it was bad. We would.
Well, really quick, back
You
to
guys see
your
what I'm saying?
4.0 comment. Well, really quick,
Yeah.
back to your 4.0 comment.
Most of the people that I know that are trying to be engineers, they, like, I don't know, like 85 smoke weed, and it's just, and they like make the highest grade average. So it's kind of ridiculous with all the arguments that a lot of people try to come up with.
Well, it kind of goes back to the original argument about getting emotionally
okay, so
invested.
let's move on. I have a bunch of stuff to talk about. So, do you guys want to talk about? Let's see. How can we be free? So, I wanted to have like an open discussion of what does it really mean to be free, and can we all be free? Is it something that you guys think is possible?
In what way?
Well, that's the thing. And what is it first? So let's talk about what does it mean to be free?
Freedom of mind, freedom of body. Like, if you're in literal chains, like if you're in handcuffs, then you don't have liberty of your arms and your hands, right? At that point. So I mean, you could have freedom of, I think people have a lot of subconscious and mental blocks, which you can imprison yourself in certain ways, and you can allow other people to imprison you, and that's done through social engineering.
Right.
On a metaphysical
Okay.
level, if you're actually 100% free...
No, go ahead. I'm just saying, okay.
On a metaphysical level, if you're actually 100% free, technically you wouldn't even exist in this universe.
Let us know what you think. Go ahead.
So I'm just saying that, like, if you don't have any limitations at
Do you wanna go
all,
ahead?
you wouldn't technically be within this universe. You know what I mean?
Hello.
I'm here.
Go.
thought that was True. True trying to say something. Was it you?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
what I was going to say, as far as when you're dealing with something like freedom, it's such a it's to me it's subjective. So it's like what my version of freedom is might be a little bit different, but we need to have a general basis to, okay, it's kind of like America in a sense. I mean, America's not the greatest country in the world, but at least you can say whatever the hell you want to say without having to worry about, well, at least for the most part, you can say whatever you want to say without having to worry about someone kicking your door. Okay, that's the secular nation in my mind, where I could say whatever the fuck I want to say, and you could say whatever you want to say. And I talk to black people sometimes to kind of get them out of the matrix of nigger. You know, when they hear that word, they turn into fucking grizzly bears. And I'm like, dude, you cannot let that shit control you. Do not let that control you. You are a slave to a fucking sound, man. Do you understand? You're
Yeah, right.
to a
It's
sound.
absolutely crazy. Yeah, I agree with you, and I can't believe that they're letting themselves get emotionally upset over sounds. And so my argument against that is, without logic, words don't really mean anything. We're just making a bunch of silly sounds. Blah 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 blah. Right? That's
Without
illogical
logic,
being
we
said.
don't have
Right?
freedom. Without common sense, we don't have freedom. Without waking up
without
from the-
logic, we can't control what we know.
if we constantly think that the man is against us, or she doesn't love me anymore, because you have to understand, no one else is living your life except for you, so naturally you're going to sometimes think universal about yourself. And you know, that's okay from time to time, but you have to understand that at the end of the day, there are other people who feel stuff, there are other people who have opinions and ideas, and they're not always going to collide with yours. So my definition of freedom is secular speech, secular nation. You believe what you want to believe, you speak how you want to speak, as long as I'm allowed to do the same thing. And this is why I don't like the whole social justice bullshit and the whole that, you know, because it's like, okay, you said what you wanted to say, but now I said what I wanted to say, and you just turned me into a criminal for saying what I wanted to say. So we just debunked your equality right there. I need no further with you. And that's how easy it is for me to debunk them. I don't need a lot of time. I really don't. I've already wasted enough time. And it's like what you guys say, at the end of the day, you got to let go and be free.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
Well, I have something to say about that. So, like, JFK, he exposed the CIA, and then he ended up getting murdered not too long after that.
Well, central bank too.
Steve Irwin, he hunted animals. We all knew he was gonna die. We all knew he was gonna get it in the end, but he ended up getting killed by a stingray. The crocodile hunter
my hero
got killed
here.
by a. Who's that?
Rizzle Dizzle, my hero. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Okay, yeah, but Steve Irwin died doing something that he loved. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I already know the direction you're going, but if these men didn't take the risk that they took, Martin Luther King's, the Malcolm X's, because they said things and they did things that would have got them in a lot of trouble. But see, here's my analogy on this. Martin Luther King is having a statue built in his name in today's age. In 1960s, he had a brick thrown at his face. So think about it like that. You're going to get some bricks thrown at your face. You're going to have people attacking you for things that you said that they might not like. But you have to keep your eyes on the prize, as they say, because you cannot forget about what you're fighting for, what your freedom is. Amen.
Yep.
Something similar. Well, he spoke out. He spoke out at the tabloids and the people who were attacking him, and they went after him pretty hard. But yeah, as you said, like Martin Luther King, same thing.
So Rizzle, we're talking about how can we be free? How do you think we can be free, Rizzle?
That's funny. I totally made a video, and it's uploading now. It details it step by step in a foolproof manner.
Perfectly. Awesome.
No, it does have one thing. one little thing that'll help, but not much. No, we're all pretty much hooped. Yeah, you just got to resign yourself to that. Our species has had it. And I think once you accept that, you'll find a lot of inner...
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is you think like the jig is up, we've lost this one, guys, and accepting the defeat makes life a lot easier to continue living.
Enemies within and without.
That's one way to do it.
Humanity is a cartoon that has walked off a cliff, but he's still walking with a sick grin on his face, blissfully unaware that he's walked off the cliff. One of these days, he's going to look down.
The messed up thing is the lemming that survived was the one that got his foot
stuck. It seems true to
stuck.
some degree, doesn't it? Definitely.
Do not look at man behind the curtain. You might discover the truth, young man.
A big green floating head. Yeah, okay, I believe a hologram.
I think that's the Reefer Madness talking.
So Rizzle, if you're right, what should I do with my life?
I'm a hermit.
No.
Yes.
Lead me, O wise one.
I'm not big. I mean, if you're kind of in the wrong motherfucker.
What'd you
That's
say?
like taking financial advice from a homeless.
Oh no, he's cutting out. Financial advice for the homeless.
Taking financial advice from the homeless. That's a very good idea, I'm sure.
That's what it's like asking me what you do with your life. You know, I mean, you could not.
I don't know. Some of them make more money than me.
Okay, well.
Rizzle's
Okay.
basically saying
I consider
that.
that
Oh man. Oh, it's just.
What I got from what he was saying is
There
that
we go.
basically, how is he going to make
Fix that.
decisions for you? I think we have
Oh
to.
yeah, for me, I have to make my own decisions for myself and accept my own self-responsibility for myself.
Well, I mean, like, how is somebody else going to like interpret everything, every single decision that you need to make? Because I think it has to be individual.
You're crazy.
Maybe.
I was in the Navy, so I believe in philosophy.
What, Rizzle?
Go ahead, Rizzle.
What? Oh yeah. I can only say what's good for me. Not actually good for me because I do a lot of unhealthy shit. But I know exactly what I should be doing at all times. Anybody else, I can't really say because they're not me.
That's a good point,
For
huh?
instance, I went out naked in the snow. Or probably not wise for other people.
Good for
I
the
don't know, I
skin.
think something like that. It's not such a big deal.
I'd do that if I was dared. I dare you to go out and
Comes out of a hot
I would
tub.
do it just for fun.
For dare? No,
I'll
it just
do it,
feel
but
good on your nuts.
I'm from a whale's vagina, so I can't really play in the snow right now.
I'm a fucking lizard.
Y'all never seen that movie?
I'm a lizard.
I just have Mexicans look around, crank up the heat, and it gets so motherfucking hot in here. 170 degrees.
Lucky.
Oh man.
Motherfucking Mexicans. They're all everywhere.
Well, it's like winter's
Talk about-
actually over. I mean, yes, but it's not that.
I like the direction this is going.
Now we're talking about Mexicans.
Is that a sexual thing?
Ooh, shit, they're looking for freedom too. Shit, everyone needs some freedom.
Yeah,
money.
even if it means taking our freedom from us for their freedom.
Yes, let's see the man nips, Rizzle.
Hold on, whoa. It's like what Doug Stanhope said. I love what Doug Stanhope says. Doug Stanhope says if you have a illegal immigrant come into this country who doesn't have any shoes, shirt, fucking pants all jacked up, can't speak the language, and they somehow get your job, then you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what is the worth? Or you have to explain to me, how are they able to come in and do something that you can't do better than them, and they're not even from here?
Right.
Well, also, if you try
Clearly,
to
there's
immigrate,
superior individuals.
if you try to immigrate to their country, you'll actually get 10
Let's
years
see them
in jail.
titties, Tifa.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Well, that ain't fair, but it's the fact of the matter that could you even survive in Mexico?
Probably.
That's a good question.
Sell off pieces of my fat.
What?
What? So what are you gonna do? Sell your fat?
Never
Is that a
again.
glitch in the Matrix, or did you just really say that? That
I
was
don't
hilarious.
know. I'm just blurting out random shit. I'm just saying, like, hey, I can probably sell pieces of me. I'm kind of like a big giant coat, so. No, actually, that will only work in fucking cold climates. I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus.
The first thing I said in an hour. Fucking. That's great.
Here is a little something about Mexicans. They're unbelievably fucking racist. Now,
Yeah.
if they don't know that you speak Spanish, I like to keep that to myself, that I speak really good Spanish. You just hear them talking
man, I don't-
shit constantly about every other race, especially black people. Mexicans fucking
Oh my goodness.
hide
gracious.
black people.
Why you trying to pump me up, motherfucker?
You live
Hold
in
up.
Kansas. I live in Texas. You have to learn Spanish. You just have to. It has to go. You have to learn it through osmosis.
I know what you guys are talking about, man.
That's okay.
I live in a whale's vagina. I know. Okay,
That's
I
Mrs.
complain
Jones.
about it.
That's gotta
I
smell really
complain
bad
about
there.
it. I complain about it sometimes because it's the whole fact that, wait a minute, you're in my country talking shit to me in Spanish. I don't know what you're saying, but if I complain about it, I'm the bad guy. Wait a minute, hold up, because I know if I go to your country and I talk some shit in English, I will not make it out alive.
You will kill me.
That's okay. You got guys like
Kill me.
Yeah, you're not
I'm
gonna
fucking
get
instructor.
at it, dude.
So basically, you just described like unreasonable people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty unreasonable.
To some extent, because I can't say that every one of them are. Some of them will help you out because they understand that you just you're a crazy American and you just get out of here. You're crazy. Here's a fucking burrito. Get out of my backyard, you lunatic. Go get drunk somewhere else. But if you come into Mexico incorrect, if you like, obviously if you go into someone else's land, but it's like I get the whole, there was a war a long time ago. We took their land, and there's this thing, our
but that
ideology,
wasn't
where
us.
some of them are. I know, but I get that, and it wasn't them either.
What are they?
But the fact of the matter is, this whole hangout so far since I've been in here has been about people who don't know how to let go of hate. So my point is how do they or how do we help them let go? How do we connect the bridge, or is there even a bridge to be connected?
Put
Well, if you
yourself
look at
in
this
their.
little
We need-
picture here, there is
We
a
need more
bridge in between the
acceptance.
brains.
We need more acceptance. We need more love, and we need more forgiveness. On this.
Release
Understanding.
USA.
Understanding.
Go ahead, Rizzle. Show them what you got.
What we do, we just release a widespread PSA. Like, scientists have discovered that every time you think a hateful thought, it will make your penis shrink, or if you're a woman, it'll make your tit real health informed. Who's gonna?
That would work.
Can you repeat the last
We gotta
part?
make it. It'll either make your dick shrink or your titties sag, depending on which one you have.
Interesting.
Or if you're a fat guy, you got both.
I think that knowledge could actually make us behave better.
Hey, I want my titties. You don't talk about my titties.
Amen, brother.
I hate you. I love my titties.
You don't want to
Man, when you start saying things like your dick shrink, like if you tell a black guy that, then he will listen. He will like, hey man, your dick will shrink.
Absolutely.
And then he'll be like, what?
Your dick is
black guy.
Well, if you're a white guy,
Drinking
it's more
too
fun
much.
for a white guy not to have his dick shrink. It's like, I don't know, fucking inches. Do they need us to get him fucking more? A fat guy with
Like,
no,
you gotta be careful
I've
with
been in that
shit.
department.
Some black dudes will pull it out and be like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm cool."
So funny.
Stay away from the flaxseed
I wanna
and the
keep
mint
these
hoops.
Okay.
Just a heads up from my weird department.
Okay. So, Rizzle, you just say something crazy and we'll go off that.
No,
Giant
that's what I
purple
do on command.
dildo.
Are you feeling the philosophy right now?
The giant purple dildo
No,
of
actually,
philosophy.
Seriously, a little hiccup. I'm not gonna hit in the sauce even, you know. Just gotta have something. Can't just be sober like some sort of fucking dorky Christian.
Yeah.
No offense, Christian.
No more porn, Jesus.
Particularly subject.
This fucking guy is killing.
You guys are funny. I want to present videos to you guys.
Just.
So I have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, you can present videos if you use
Screen share.
Yeah, screen share the full video. I mean, I'm not sure if the audio will come out.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want you guys to hear the audio.
Well, what's it about? What's the video about?
Speakers.
Well, you could hook the other computer up to your TV and then point your camera at the TV and then play it on that TV.
Well,
with your other
here's
computer.
Here's the thing. The Amazing Atheist does it. He like has his hangout and he like has videos and everybody can hear them and everything. So I have to figure out how he does that.
He has a camera program.
People can watch videos, like between other people, like video share or something like that. I don't know. I was using one with a couple of people on Rep's little TeamSpeak. I need to look that up. What was it?
Yeah, if you can figure out what that is, that would be amazing. And then I'll have that for next time, and we'll just watch a bunch of videos together and comment on them and stuff. You know, after the show, after we have our discussion or whatever.
I have a confession to make. I watch Drunken Peasants a lot. Like, a lot.
Yeah, I like to watch them too, and I want to kind of do what they do, where they show the videos, and then we can talk about it or laugh at it, and, you know, it'll be a good time.
What do you think about the Hollow Earth idea?
The tears are in the earth.
The Hollow Earth theory?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing in the earth?
Like the journey to the center Earth kind of thing.
You are retarded if you think the earth is hollow. I'm just saying.
There's no evidence
because
for
that
it.
is fucking ridiculous.
Well,
Where does lava come from?
That can't really be possible considering the fact that everything's being pulled toward the center of something at 9 meters per second. So, 9.8 meters per second. So
9.8.
There has to be some kind of correlation with gravity, and gravity just is not going to pull something that's hollow, because if that was true, then we wouldn't even have a crust. We would have so many goddamn cracks all over the planet. It wouldn't even be ridiculous. That's if only the planet can maintain itself with because the material in the middle of the earth is like iron or some shit like or nickel, I think. So
Iron.
There you go. So it's like it has to be. There's no fucking hollow Earth. There has to be something in the Earth. It's just that, you know, the way that gravity works, and some people are thinking like maybe the center of the Earth is like a teleportation or a black hole to somewhere else, and maybe that's how the whole damn thing works. But gravity is funky, man. It's not just gonna pull nothing and then form a crust and then have a hollow Earth. It wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you guys are aware of magnetic north and true north, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That leads me to believe there's lots of iron in the ground.
Yeah, it has to be, because other than that, we wouldn't be able to operate the way that we did. As far
we
as
are an inner solar system planet.
in terms of the only reason why we exist is because we're in a safe zone. We're in the Goldilocks zone. The only reason why we have what we have is because of the position where we're at. And some people think that if we move a little bit forward or a little bit back, then, oh my God, that's it. That's it for the Earth. But it's like, come on, jackass. If you jump 10 feet in the sky, you're not going to burn to death, all right? So relax. But
the Earth goes around ellipses around the sun, so it's like the closest point we get to the sun is where Mercury is usually is. So it's like we're not really that far away from the sun. Sometimes we're kind of close.
Yeah, for the most part, it's really tricky when you're talking about how things should be. But I know for a fact if you move the planet a little bit closer or a little bit, it's not because the planet already moves closer and forward from the sun, and also the sun moves. The sun doesn't just stay in one spot; it's rotating too.
There's a wobble.
The only way that anything could rotate. Space just a minute ago, baby. I don't know. Something happened and I got dropped off. Because
Yeah,
I was talking about some space, baby.
Ditto.
Uh-oh,
Oh, sweet Jesus.
This is getting ridiculous.
I was talking about some interstellar shit, boy. That's what happened. That's what happens when black people start talking about space. Because the computer is like, this nigga don't know what he's talking about, and it's like, holy shit, he does.
Heart attack. No, the
Sorry,
hard
guys,
drive.
I dropped, guys. I'm back.
The orbits of the planets aren't anywhere near as elliptical as Mercury and Earth and that. So, just a heads up.
Okay, everything's back.
The sun has the wobble too because of the planets going around it, pulling on it.
Yeah, there's always going to be there's a reasoning behind why things are moving the way that they are. They like the hollow Earth theory, as you brought up. I don't see it as a possibility.
I wanted to change. I wanted to go to a different topic of discussion.
Oh.
Do you guys think affirmations are any good? Like
what is that?
Or do you guys think like affirmations or meditation is any good, or do you have anything maybe you want to add to that? Like, what do you guys think is good for increasing better quality of life into your life? Like, what types of things would you introduce? Because I'm very interested.
Andrew, I found a way for you to play YouTube videos. What you got to do, go here to this left column, and you hit this thing called Control Room, or maybe it's Toolbox. Yeah, Control Room and Hangout Toolbox. Apps, then scroll down 2 spaces, and you'll see this thing that says YouTube, allow you to present YouTube videos. And since you're the one presenting in this thing that you can play a video. The rest of us can't. I tried just now. I think it's a lot disruptive. Just call it a second.
Oh, okay, that's what happened.
Oh, and affirmations, that's bullshit. Don't even bother with affirmations. The other stuff, who knows? Not me. Affirmation's a great way to program your...
I believe in meditation in terms of martial arts. not the kind of shit where you sit on the rock and the waterfall is behind you, and none of that shit. But in terms of like relaxation, in terms of like staying flexible and staying, keeping your mind clear of all the negative shit, it is one of the most profound ways that I've found to. I don't know what dude is doing. His leg.
That was Rizzle. I really enjoy NLP for very specific reasons, because I do a lot of mental reprogramming, and I find that to be useful. I also find mantras and other forms of meditation to be extremely useful in cleansing and like just getting all the mental activity to calm down, so that you can reset.
I use chakras.
Chakras are interesting.
Honestly, for meditation, all you have to do is just like sit there for like 10 minutes. It has to be completely silent, and you just go blank. It's just, you're kind of like in a deep thought almost. It's just
Well, there's that, but I actually like the involved types of meditation, and I've also, have you guys ever tried like brass resonating bowl sounds, or different types of nature sounds, and like drums or different types of instruments?
Oh, also use incense. Incense.
Every last thing you said sounds terrible in every way, and I would avoid it.
Have you heard of okay? So the chakra colors. I hope I'm saying that right. Chakra colors.
Chakra.
The colors are the same colors of the rainbow. These are apparently the colors that are inside of us. Do you find it interesting that those colors reside in us, or possibly reside in us, and that we are like a reflection of the Earth, Mother Earth, that gave birth to us, and all that stuff? Or like, what is your mindset on the chakra energy inside of us? Do you think we're light energy beings trapped inside of clay biomechanical machines, and that when we die we'll get zapped to wherever we want to go or whatnot? What is your thoughts on that and afterlife?
Wait.
Well,
I wish there was a superlative or no.
What fucked the Earth in order to make us?
What? You guys, come on. Those are you guys are nuts.
That's very.
What the hell is this shit?
I don't know. It's like if you say birth
Father
Earth,
Time.
I will think,
Father Time pulled out his giant time, and he inserted it into Mother Earth.
Probably chode.
And started black people. And then black people went to Africa, and then we was like, where is Chicago? So then we was like, oh, we need some white people to tell us what to do, because we don't know what the fuck we doing. So we made some albino people, and then they told us, hey, nigga, get on this boat. So we got on the boat, and we thinking, all right, we going to Disneyland. So we had no idea. And we get to America, next thing you know, we in a war. Like, nigga, how did we end up fighting Jerome? I don't know. Next thing you know, we in Chicago talking about what we used to do back in Africa. Savagery and animals.
Yeah.
It's amazing how we come full circle. We talking about whips and chains, and 1500 years ago we was talking about whips and chains. Amazing.
As paper.
And that just came from the top of my head, man. That's amazing.
I like how we were talking about just meditation, and now we're talking about this shit. What the fuck?
It's good to have different. It's good to have different.
We went from the Hollow Earth thing to
Okay.
Hey, my bad, man. I just took like a serious bong hit.
Honestly,
and-
I was tired of talking about Hollow Earth. It was I was not that interested in it, so I wanted to talk about something else. I was being extremely selfish.
Earth pushed everything out.
Forgive me.
Hey guys, so I think I have this thing set up, so I can search for videos and I can play the video, but I'm not sure if anybody can actually see it.
I think. Let me see.
Well, I'm looking at tranny porn, so I'm definitely not going to see that. Oh, man.
Now, are we going to go with something really weird? Off topic?
Oh, everyone has to be looking at the YouTube app, that's why.
Oh, okay.
On the YouTube app, you little fuckers.
Man, there's always some new shit I gotta get.
I know, right?
Don't you dare
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm the only one with that problem. My bad. Jesus.
Why does it have to be Disneyland and Chicago?
Huh?
Why does it have to be Disneyland?
Why were all the black people thinking that they were going to Disneyland, but because it's evolution?
Yeah,
What do black
get to
people have to do
Disneyland to fuck the princesses?
I'm so confused.
I know the story wasn't meant to make any sense. I was bullshitting, really.
Oh, okay, got it.
We were talking about how Father Time fucked the Earth.
Dude, that's how it started. I took that and ran with it and did the best I could. Okay,
I got to fuck the princesses.
Look, that's why I'm not God, man, because my Bible will be full of craziness. It'll be crazier than the Bible you already have now. I would really fuck up
Yeah,
humanity.
it's crazy.
I be sending Jews out to the beach and shit to put on like, you know, them things you put on your feet so you could like walk on water and shit. I be tricking them. I be tricking everybody. I have black people going to like.
over there.
I don't even know where I would have them go. Just I don't know, man.
He's so funny.
Just you need something to build something, man. I don't know. That's why I can't be God on my planet, man. I'll be a terrible God. I'll be terrible.
That sounds perfect. That sounds like the world I want to live in.
Here's the thing. I will plant weed everywhere. So if anyone's confused, just smoke a little bit of that.
Hallelujah.
You will be led to the light. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus, for this bounty I am about to receive.
I'm gonna build a pyramid.
You know, about 200 years ago, weed was not like a problem. People were just freely using that for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all that, it was all made up out of hemp.
Yeah.
They made clothing out of hemp. They made rope and all sorts of cool stuff.
Now hemp is like the way of alcohol in the 20s and 30s. The Prohibition era. Ugh.
Yeah.
I think that has actually slowed us down.
It targets poor people. The drug prohibition. That's all it really does. It targets poor people, and it targets poor people's choices.
I think certain people are just like being drug dealers, like, but they're, they have the right to do it, but everybody else doesn't. I just think that's highly interesting.
Well, it's the same thing with prostitution. I mean, you have a person like Hugh Hefner selling pussy, but you can't sell it on the street corner at your own leisure.
Yeah, I see people shaming that, but the problem with that is people are still doing it, but they're going inside it. They're just doing it privately. They're just not telling anybody about it.
Well, the internet's changed everything, so now they no longer have to stand on street corners. They now could just stand on their bed or something like that and get tons of money for just being on web camera.
Whatever happened to just whispering in somebody's ear and then going behind closed doors? I mean, that still happens all the time. So it's not like people are stopping it.
No, it will never stop. Like this, you have to understand. It's ran by sex. This whole culture is ran by sex in one way or another.
I'm just saying, like, even normal relationships even normal relationships for the most part are prostitution. If you take a woman out and then you buy her a meal, or in my case, when I go out, she buys me the meal. But when you do that, you're paying for sex, and I reward her by giving her some sex that night.
Well, I think men bring way more to the table in terms of personality and charm.
Or the value.
We charm our way to, like, I have to be a charming guy, because look at my face, man. Look at my picture. Look at it real closely.
You're very charming.
I'm a charming dude, but I'm not a handsome guy. But I'm very charming guy, though.
I think you're very handsome, actually.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Mario says that too, but with Luigi.
Thank you. But yeah, but it's the fact that my whole life I've been writing poetry and doing silly shit, and what I've learned over the years is that you can't, like, I go back to what I said earlier. You can't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to take as my cult master Patrice O'Neill would say, you can't be afraid to take a loss. You have to be ready to lose at all moments. You can't let women control your goals and your dreams, because once that happens, you can no longer say I'm a free man, because you have obvious pussy whip control problems. You have 100 problems, my friend, and you need to deduct it -1. Just as simple as that.
It's the same as if you're just giving away your power to, I don't know, like to some other authority. Like, you're giving all your power to even if it was a close friend of yours, you're letting that friend dictate all the decisions. You're letting them silence you whenever they feel like it. Like, it's the same concept.
What's the story in the Bible with the guy with the hair and she kept fucking with? Exactly. The story of Samson. dude, the story of Samson, perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
She kept picking at him, and she's virtually trying to get her side dick to kill this guy, virtually. Okay, I live in a simple world, so I think simple and shit. They're virtually trying to get this guy killed. Okay, she tried multiple times, and this idiot finally told her what his weakness is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know out of sense of he trusted her or he believed her. I don't know what it was, but this is dudes today. They cut off their own hair, they pull out their own teeth, and they give it to women. Here's my testimony.
You don't even have to go that deep into the Bible. You get that at the very beginning of the Bible. I broke
Adam
down
and Eve.
Garden of Eden in one of my videos. I made 2 videos on that. Because I missed some things I wanted to say in the first one, but I went more in depth in the second one. But yeah, if God said, because you hearkened unto the woman, because you listened to her lies and her bullshit, and you followed along with it, you are now being punished because you had disobeyed me because of that. Because they all blamed each other because they didn't want to take responsibility for their actions, and that was what was wrong, because they didn't repent. They were supposed to repent, but they didn't. They chose not to, and that was the problem. And that was in
but don't you think that's just like just some sort of ancient understanding a bunch of malnutrition sand people had?
It's
a great story. Sense. They had women too.
It's a great treat because you can learn a lot from it. That's the point. Like I'm not reading this as something you have to believe or not believe, but I'm saying. The ideas behind it are very valuable.
That's the point I was taking, is that I do trust me, when I look at a Bible, I look at it with a grain of salt, okay?
Sure.
I know it's full of craziness and sand people nonsense.
You know what though? Any moral that you can learn from the Bible, you can learn from logic too.
But
so
yes,
to me, in my opinion, that kind of just makes it not even worth caring about.
Full of that. It is full of.
I just enjoy the stories because the stories are it's a good way to express the ideas.
And you think these dudes weren't thinking about that all those years ago? They didn't know they was going to turn into a cash cow. They thought they was changing the world. They thought they were doing something revolutionary because they had a vision.
The monks were writing this all down. They were like, "This is such good wisdom. We're imparting onto people, and we're doing it in such a simple way that many people can understand."
And then it ruined everything.
You know what, though? Aren't we doing the same thing now? Aren't we doing the same thing now?
That's what I was trying to say earlier. In the same context, we are the new age Bible in a sense. We're writing the first verses of the new age technical Bible. That's what we are.
Well, we're the current monks of today. Like the monks we're talking about were 500, 600 years. That was 600 years in the past.
Well, nigga,
I still value their thoughts because they had really good ideas. So I still look at what they did.
I don't know if I'm a monk, man. I'm more like a ninja, boy. I can't show my face.
Come on, fruit. You're a prophet.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
We had the story of Sodom.
I'm a prophet. Yeah.
And we had the story of Sodom and Gomorrah too.
Yeah.
Lot.
Yeah.
You need to nuke Mecca in
You
order to
know
make
about
this.
Sodom, but you never hear about Gomorrah. Why is that?
Because Gomorrah was.
Who's Gomorrah? Is that
There's Sodom
hot
and
chick?
Gomorrah.
Well, for the most part, wasn't
talk about
most of the Bible was written by dudes, so they didn't hold women up in any kind of regard, except for
it
when.
was a huge sausage fest, right, guys?
Yeah,
Right now, everybody, I have the floor. I command the floor. Let me explain.
Don't.
See, women are how they are, and if women are allowed to do the thing women do, then civilization, as we understand it, falls apart. See, when agriculture came around, people could settle into areas, and when this happened, they began to own property, and then naturally that property was passed down from generation to generation. But you have to know whose kid is whose, and you have to fucking control the women. Like, it's no fucking coincidence. So many religions are misogynistic. It's just because unconstrained, women will kind of muck up the works. We can see this with feminism, right? They have intrinsic power in terms of reproduction, and that power must be constrained or they will seriously fuck us over. And we see what happens when they are.
Right.
Rizzle, women will lie to themselves, and then they will believe that lie, and then they will start projecting when when you don't limit that behavior, it gets out of control, like what we see now.
Damn. I was watching some video. I was watching this video where this Aunt your mama decided that she was gonna marry herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so are you really saying
What's
that
it, Lacey Green?
No, not like. Please don't bring, because she that type of chick right there. She makes me want to put my balls on camera. Seriously.
I want to see them.
Because of the whole fact of, like, we all know why you're famous. I'm not gonna literally do it. Calm down, Joe. Calm down.
Relax.
I know some of y'all might.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
Some of y'all don't give a fuck, but no, man, I can't do that, man. But it's like, it's the annoyance of, you could get away with this shit. You could get away, and we all subconsciously, we consciously fucking know what you're doing, okay? And it's like, it's so fucking irritating to deal with in so many regards, because it's like, this is the uncontrolled that you're talking about. People aren't checking this shit. People aren't saying, oh, just from your mind, you don't have to put your titties on camera to try to bring me in. Just, do you.
Yeah, be a person.
Oh, you're wrong about that.
What I would like to point out, guys, is that
let Rizzle talk, guys. You guys talked a lot. Let's hear what Rizzle has to say. I want to hear Rizzle.
Let's see.
I'm just saying, Lacey Green, yes, she does have to show titties. I am not going to listen to her talk for her really goddamn ideas. No,
exactly.
Tits or just cease to exist. It's the only thing of value she brings to the table, and I don't begrudge her using the single thing she has of value to achieve her goals. I mean, what you gonna do? Solve different equations? No.
I agree with that, Rizzle. What I actually wanted to say is the SJWs, the feminists, the women who are actually playing that game, at the end of the day, they're really only getting control of the lesser quality males, the ones who don't have that distinction, the same distinction that higher quality males will have. Because I would instantly label any blue pill guy who is stuck in that form of slavery to be like a lesser being, a lower quality male. So they're in control of the garbage, basically. And the cream of the crop is not participating in that garbage, and they are doing their own thing. They are creating a better version of society.
And I'll say this real quick to piggyback off of what you said. Women's power comes from men. It comes from no place else.
It comes
from weak, thirsty ass, sensitive, pussy whipped, trolling, white knighting men. Dudes who will do anything and probably will do anything, but won't get the princess at the end of the fucking castle. Okay,
nope.
You're wasting your time.
You're supposed to give her to Bowser, because then she can ag and suck the blood out of Bowser instead of Mario, which is you. Mario's supposed to turn around and walk away.
Yeah, let Bowser have her.
Yeah, let Bowser deal with that bullshit.
Yeah, and bring Luigi with Mario. So Luigi doesn't get stuck either.
If that happened though, if Bowser did kill this bitch off, then technically speaking, I would not be wearing this shirt. I'm just simping.
You guys are funny.
Yes, you would. They would have just gotten high and then just kind of given each other a high five.
And you know what's sad though?
Bullshit.
They still have Mario saving this bitch though. Like, still, even in today's age, they still have him saving her. but yet you have a person like Anita who's pointing this out, but she's still a damsel. We're not going to point out like Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, she's putting herself in the damsel position. Absolutely.
You guys, I'm gonna go off live, okay? Unless you guys want to stay live because the video is like 3 hours long. What do you guys think?
I think the world needs to hear this.
Okay, well, we'll just keep going.
We must continue.
Only 3 people are watching, such as us, but that's okay. Like, people can watch it later.
Go on. Show must go on.
Well,
Yoshi.
I'll say this much. I'll close up. I'll go ahead and bounce. But I'll say this much: for any woman out there who is willing, I doubt you can. But this is my greatest lesson to you: if you want your man to be with you, then you have to let your man be. Leave him the fuck alone. Stop talking with your nonsense. He's not listening to you. He doesn't care. Okay? Leave him be. If you're not going to support him, if you're not going to build him up so he can lift you up, because that's where your power comes from. That's where your power comes from. Your power comes from dudes. If you're not going to do that, then leave him alone. For all the dudes out there, wake up. Take the red pill. Don't be afraid of women. Wake up. All right? That's all I got to say. My name's True Sherm. My 2 channels are True Review USA and also True Review Games. My Twitter follower is @TrueSherm. And that's it, man. Anybody got any questions for me before I bounce?
Drew, I wanted to add something to that. Like the men who have been married for a long time, they don't really know what they're doing, but they are at some point naturally fighting back, because you can't be controlled. You can't be controlled in that way for that long without feeling like you need to fight back naturally, even if it comes out as something very toxic as arguing or becoming passive aggressive yourself. But that's the worst way to deal with it, in my opinion. You should be a little more. You should have a little more preemptive moves in that. Otherwise, you're just going to get taken for a ride. At some point, you'll fight back kind of naturally, subconsciously, because I don't think your mind allows that much slavery just by default. I think you have some safeguards.
Even in slavery time, they were fighting back. I mean,
yes.
slaves were obviously running away, so that should just be an indication. Like my weed doesn't run away, so that should tell me a lot. But the fact of the matter is that when you're dealing with organisms, that's why I treat animals with such respect and such love, because animals they don't talk back. They can't tell you, ow, that hurts, and things like that. But I'm still gonna eat a cheeseburger. Don't like think I'm some sort of animal activist or some shit like that. But I still feel for, like, you know, beings who have a consciousness of, I don't like this. I you know, a choice. You can't stop that choice. When you stop that choice, that's when it becomes slavery and all that other stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
I had a pigeon, and for like 7-8 years. I mean, it's just amazing how to go like pet it and all that, and peck at you a little, and somebody fly in my head, and it was amazing. And it died of old age. But it was fun while the bird was around.
Was that a question?
It was just like something in my own experience.
Oh.
All right, man.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. It was awesome, and you're welcome to come anytime, dude.
Oh, yeah, man. Whenever you have another one, send a shout out.
Just bring Mario and Luigi back, too.
Drew, it was good to talk to you. I saw you in X-Paladox hangout not that long ago.
Yeah, I was trying to find out what the beef was, and to me, my personal opinion, and I'll go on record saying this before I go. As far as the whole beef between I think as far as MGTOW, if you're a man going your own way, don't let the hate overcome you. Don't let the hate consume you, because you will end up finding yourself not being any different from the feminists. I see the messages where, oh my God, he had that lady Lisa Emerald in his hangout. He's not for MGTOW. It's like, dude, you gotta calm down with that. You have to calm down. Just because you're a man going your own way and you believe in the philosophy doesn't mean you can't socialize with other people.
Yeah.
That's taking it too far. Now I understand the stance on marriage and relationships because in regards of men's money, okay? You have to think of women's vagina as fish, and you're playing this game with money. Think about it. Jordan Maxwell teaches a very important thing with money. Money is like water, currency, cash flow, river bank. This shit is adding up. And what do we all put this money into? Fish, okay?
Yeah.
Pussy. 80% of all consumer-based products are geared to pussy. It's like that Dave Chappelle joke. Men don't buy nice cars because they like nice cars unless you're into NASCAR. They buy nice cars because they know women like it.
Right.
So-
And, well, and if you look at the statistics, women actually get their husbands to buy houses. That's where
Exactly.
all that comes from. They get them to get things for the family, and that's what the women do, right? And then the man's buying her makeup and clothes and, you know, decorations. You know, the list never ends. But it's the women that get the men to use all that money and waste it. And so, you know, it's important to understand that, and we just can't be giving people free stuff all the time, no matter what the situation is.
This is what I wanted to say, True. As far as the whole ex-Paladoc thing, like, I'm not going to go specifically into him because, like, I don't even think that matters. Like, at the end of the day, if you're a MGTOW, if you're a man going your own way,
yeah,
like, think about that. If you have your own identity, which I value very much, you should have your own identity. Identity. I don't think groupthink is a good idea. And the guy, I can't even remember his name, but the guy who wanted to point these things out, like, that's not important.
Sometimes, every once in a while, you are going to run across these dudes. You can't think of the Matrix sometimes. There was a dude in the Matrix who wanted to go back in. He wanted to plug himself back in because he didn't like the reality he was woken up to. He hated it. So there's not every man who wakes up is going to go, oh, he's going to be like, this is some sort of weird gay thing, and they're not going to understand. So it's up to us to some degree to not condescend. I mean, we're gonna be pricks at some point, you know, because we want to joke and make fun. But when you see something serious, then you have to know that, okay, I have to help this dude because he's thinking about going back in the Matrix. But you have to understand it's a choice. If he wants to get plugged back in, you showed him the door, but he walked through that motherfucker. He walked out and he decided to go right back into the situation he was in. There's not much you can do about that.
Yeah.
So
I find that to be like a conformist groupthink thing when you try to just force your opinion on somebody else.
Yeah, like, I don't need to take a position. I can back up and say, I don't really care about your dispute. You know, I like people and you're people, so I like you. Just leave me alone, you know?
Jesus, man. You
know?
guys are so fucking good, man. I damn it. You guys are too good, man.
I do believe in investing in other people, though. Like, if you believe that that person's going to be good for your life, I don't mind saying good things about them, or even in their defense or on their behalf, because like tabloids and things of that nature, spreading lies around, that should be challenged, and if anything, just minimized, because you don't really want to give them too much attention. You don't really want to give them hardly any of your time. But at the same time, you also want to say things to the people around you and let them know, hey, there's a different idea out there. You can keep subscribing to that guy if you want to, but there are other ideas out there. You can pick and choose your own.
I'm not going to look at someone, oh my God, that person is following Anita Sarkeesian. I'm going to unfollow that person because, no, I'm not going to do all that.
The thing that I have to say is, like, if those people are wrong, they are just wrong, and they think they're right because they're lacking evidence or they're lacking reason in some way. But I mean, that's their inner dispute, and you can, like, help them figure that out. But getting angry at people is a waste of time.
Think about it like
Some
this.
people aren't doing it for that some people aren't doing it out of ignorance. Some people are doing it because they're seeking attention. Okay.
Oh yeah,
that was what I was getting to. Tabloids. What are tabloids? What is slander? What is all that? That's, you know,
But
this attention seeking or trying to get money out of it. That's
But
all that is.
think about it like this: the guys and gals who are on the borderlines. And think about it like this: they can't decide. They're trying to figure it all out. So you have this person, Anita Sarkeesian, who puts out a tweet that you don't like. Then you have all these people, bitch, slut, skank, whore. So those people who are on the borderlines are gonna look and go, well, damn, man, what's up with all of that? I mean, I understand she's wrong, but you guys seem kind of just too much passion. So that's why I tell people, or I try to tell people, just kind of, don't give up the fight, because we still have to fight. There's so much we have to fight, but take it in increments, because your enemy, they're resting. Trust me, and they have way more of a sense than you do. So you have to rest your mind. You have to take this shit in little, small packs at a time. I mean, you can do it every day, only if you can handle that shit. If you can't handle it every day, take it in increments, man.
Yeah,
Because you'll drive yourself crazy.
I took some shots at Lacey Green, but I was just putting some truth. I was infecting her videos with some truth, like with my comments, and I didn't invest a lot of time into that, because the reason for that is I have more important things to do than dealing with a nobody. But if I see something, I might just clean up the dirty water, so to speak.
Now, if I have some beef with someone, I'll reserve some time, but it will only be in that one instance, and then after that, I'm moving on to the next thing. I'm gonna keep on doing my own thing. If
Well,
you see,
it's like if
I have
you see trash
go
in the
ahead.
forest, you can pick it up. Like you don't have to let an oil can keep dripping into the ground. If you see it, then you can pick it up and clean it up. That's kind of what I think about it. It's like I'm just taking out the garbage, but
Yeah.
I can't devote all my time to that
That's what I'm
unless
saying.
unless I want to make that a mission of my life, which I don't. I'm gonna
And
pick
that-
up garbage as I see it, though.
That's what I see with a lot of dudes, and this is my last thing, and then I'll go. A lot of dudes, I see a lot of dudes. It's like running. Okay, you run for so long, and then you hit a point where you tunnel vision, and then you hit the wall. A lot of dudes are tunnel visioning, and they're hitting the wall. So my trick is to pace yourself. If you're gonna run this war, if you're gonna run it like a soldier, then you take your time and breathe, because it don't get easier than this. All right, and that's all I got. I'm True Sherm. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Black man out. You guys are beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, True.
Yeah.
All right, peace out, guys.
Okay, you guys. So I think we might end it. We might end it there.
Oh no.
Sure, logic.
What? Anything else, guys?
What did you most enjoy about this hangout, Logic?
I wanted more Rizzle Dizzle. So yeah, you guys talked over him a little bit, so I wanted more of him in there, because Rizzle Dizzle, he just shuts down arguments. He's like, let me calm you down there. So I like Rizzle Dizzle, so I wanted a little more of him in there. I liked all the guests. All you guys were awesome. It was great, and this is how I want it to be. I want it to be like 3 or 4 people that are really outspoken at a time, and then have them knocking around ideas, and then some other people who are a little more introverted on the side. And so every once in a while we'll check in with them, and then they'll sort of express an opinion or a thought about what's been said. And yeah, that's kind of how I saw things today, and I think that was great. So pretty happy.
I think like everybody gets excited and they want to chime in at the same time. I think a lot of that is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. So
Yeah.
that gives us a little bit of structure. But the thing of it is what I think is going to be good is if people have like more patience, because.
Yeah. Oh, maybe write down ideas, encourage people to take notes.
The fact that we could even
we could take turns, maybe. Like we could say, okay, you talk, then you talk, then you talk, and we can like number people, and people can make notes, and then say what they want to say. Maybe we can talk about that as a format. It may be a little more difficult, but
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm thinking might work better is if we just challenge ourselves to have more patience with each other.
Okay. Yeah, and just encourage people to wait and only. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. True was talking the most, and like during that football part, the stuff about the football, I wanted to comment a little bit, but It was like, you know,
Yeah, right.
corpo and true, and then corpo and then true, then corpo and true, and then you.
Yeah, I really wanted to hear what Carpo had to say though, so I kind of let Carpo talk a lot. But I think Carpo said a lot of awesome stuff, so
Yeah,
Logic,
good.
like
Yeah.
I wanted to, I pretty much wanted to talk the entire time, but like
Okay.
I'm using self-control, like I'm using quite a bit. I probably did do some inappropriate interruptions and stuff like that, but I
Okay.
think we have to. I think we have
You want
to.
me to temper people?
What?
I can be more aggressive. I can assert more and and temper people more. Like, you know, like when I jumped in and I said, "Oh, let's let Rizzle say something here." I can moderate things.
I would rather people were allowed to work on it themselves. Like we could just point out the fact that we are doing this for ourselves, and then other people will hear that and they'll kind of catch on to the same idea. Like I'm trying to be more patient with others.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not able to just speak up at it every time I want to, because if there are 10 people in the room and one person's talking, I would rather just be quiet and listen, because I would know at some point I would be able to get to speak my opinion. What people are having trouble with, I think, is holding that idea for a long amount of time while listening to all these other ideas.
Yeah, it's a lot of thinking.
So I think people should
But
type.
Tifa, I want to stop the broadcast though because it's
Yeah.
too long. So is that okay? Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, bye guys, and thank you for coming to Logic Church. I will see you all next week. Bye guys.
All right. Bye.
Peace out,
Alright.
too.
Yeah, Logic.
Sorry for interrupting.
Oh.